Mga kaibigan, magsisimula na po ang pagpapakilala sa mga magtatapos klaseng 2021. Ang mga mag-aaral mula sa larang ng General Academics. Pinangungunahan ang larang ng General Academics ng kanilang Strand Coordinator, Binibining Caroline C. Laforteza. Narito naman ang mga mag-aaral ng larang ng Science, Technology, Engineering at Mathematics. Ang STEM strand ay pinangungunahan ng kanilang strand coordinator na si Ginang Josephine R. Sacluti. Narito naman ang mga mag-aaral mula sa larang ng Accountancy, Business at Management. Ang ABM strand ay pinangungunahan ng kanilang strand coordinator na si Ginoong Ferdy Verayo. At ang mga mag-aaral mula sa larang ng Humanities at Social Sciences. Ang HUME strand ay pinangungunahan ng kanilang strand coordinator na si Ginoong Ignacio C. Soriano. Mga kababayan, magsisimula ang ating programa sa pagkanta ng ating pambansang awit. Ito ay susundan ng pambungad na panalangin na pamumunuan ni Padre Braulio Dahunan ng Kapisanan ni Jesus, Kapilya ng Batayang Edukasyon, Pamantasan ng Ateneo de Manila.
Bayang magiliw, pelas ang sinanganan, alam ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, duyan ka ng magiting, sa manlulupig, di ka pasisiin. Sa dagat at bundok, sa simoy at sa langit mong bukaw, may nilagang tula at awit sa paglayang minamahal. Ang kislap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nagdiningning, ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may magdidilim. Lupa ng araw ng walhati pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo. Ang hinigaya na pag may mga api, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Manahimik tayo sandali para sa ating panalangin. Damhin natin ang mapagmahal at mawaing presensya ng Diyos. Sa ngalan ng Ama at ng Anak at ng Espiritu Santo. Amen. Mapagpalang Ama, kami po ay natitipon para sa pagtatapos ng mga mag-aaral sa Ateneo de Manila Senior High School. Ang aming mga puso ay puno ng pasasalamat sa ipinagkaloob mong mga pagkakataong matuto, mahubog ang sarili at mapaunlad ang aming mga talino, husay at talento. Ang lahat ng mga ito ay nagmumula sa iyo, kaya ang aming pagsisikap at pagpupunyagi upang mapabuti ang aming mga sarili ay inihahandog namin sa iyo. Naway ang pagtitipon namin ay magiging isang pagdiriwang sa iyong walang hanggang kabutihan at pagbibiyaya. Pagtibayin mo ang aming pagkakaisa bilang isang pamayanan para sa kaganapan ng aming mga hangarin para sa bawat isa, lalong-lalo na sa mga mag-aaral na magtatapos ngayon. Hinihiling po namin ang iyong pagbabasbas para sa kanilang lahat. Tulungan mo silang maisa sa katuparan ang kanilang mga pangarap at magagamit ng lubos ang mga kaloob mong biyaya para sa kaluwalhatian ng iyong pangalan. Naway patuloy nilang tahakin ang kinabukasan na puspos ng pananampalataya, pag-asa at pag-ibig. Naway patuloy mo silang gabayan sa mga pagpapasya na kanilang gagawin. Palakasin ang kanilang mga kalooban sa landas na kanilang pipiliin. Nawa ito ay laging naaayon sa iyong banal na kalooban. Sa ngalan ni Hesukristo na aming Panginoon, kasama ng Espiritu Santo at sa pananalangin ng aming ina na si Maria, ay buong pananalig naming iniluluhog sa iyo ang aming mga pangangailangan at kahilingan. San Ignacio de Loyola, ipanalangin mo kami. San Aloysius Gonzaga, ipanalangin mo kami. Sa ngalan ng Ama, at ng Anak, at ng Espiritu Santo. Amen.
Mga kaibigan, ang punong guro ng nakatatandang mataas na paaralang Ateneo de Manila, si Ginang Maria Victoria Panlilio de Malanta.
Sa harap ni Padre Roberto Siyap ng Kapisanan ni Jesus, Pangulo ng Pamantasang Ateneo de Manila, mga guro at mga kasapi ng komunidad ng nakatatandang mataas na paaralan, mga magulang, mga panauhin at mga kandidato sa pagtatapos, opisyal na sinisimulan ang palatuntunan ng pagtatapos sa ika-162 taon ng Ateneo de Manila.
Mga kaibigan, isang magandang araw po sa inyong lahat. Malugod namin kayong binabati sa inyong pagdalo sa taunang pagtatapos ng nakatatandang mataas na paaralan ng Pamantasang Ateneo de Manila. Ipinakikilala po namin sa inyo ang mga salutatoryan ng klase ng nakatatandang mataas na paaralang Ateneo de Manila. Taong 2021, sina Aaron John G. Cacas ng 12 Navarro at si Carl Robin G. Saluta ng 12 Old Corn. Pakinggan naman po natin ang talumpati ng pagbati ni Aaron John G. Cacas ng 12 Navarro.
Sa ating minamahal na Pangulo, si Padre Roberto Yap, ang ating punong guro, si Ginang de Malanta, mga administrador, guro, staff, magulang, panauhin, at mga kapwa kong mag-aaral, magandang araw po sa inyong lahat. Unang-una, bilang isa rin magatapos, ikinalulugod ko po ang inyong pagdalo sa napakahalagang okasyon na ito. Ang kulminasyon ng 2 taon na puno ng aral, karanasan, emosyon, pagod, saya, at tagumpay sa nakatatandang mataas na paaralan ng Ateneo de Manila. Ito ay isang selebrasyon ng ating pagsasama at isang formal na transisyon patungong kolehiyo. Marahil alam na natin na ang pagtatapos sa paaralan ay ang pagwawakas lamang ng isang maliit na yugto ng ating buhay. Ito rin ang punto kung saan tayo ay magpapaalam sa isa't isa. Pagpasok sa senior high, pumili tayo ng kani-kanyang strand at ngayon ay pipili naman tayo ng kurso sa kolehiyo. Ito ang punto kung saan maghihiwa-hiwalay tayo ng landas para sundan ang ating mga pangarap. Maraming oportunidad ang naghihintay sa atin na maaari nating silipin, kunin at palaguin. Ngunit, ang paghiwalay na ito ay literal na napaaga. Hindi tayo nakaligtas sa pandemya na hindi naman natin inaasahan. Biglang tumigil ang mundo, lubhang apektado ang ekonomiya at pampublikong kalusugan. Naantala ang pasukan, nakansela ang maraming pangyayari, at nagbago ang mga sistema at patakaran sa ating bansa. Pero, hindi lamang iyon ang nagbago. Nag-iba rin ang oras, o di kaya ang ating pagtingin at pananaw sa kahalagahan ng oras. Ang oras na alam mo ngayon ay hindi kapareho ng iba. Dati-rati, ang oras ay nasusukat sa kung kailan tayo papasok sa paaralan sa umaga, kailan ang susunod na klase o break, sa gaano katagal ang kwentuhan, tanghalian o group study bawat araw, paglalaro sa covered courts, pagtapos sa mga proyekto, mga usapan kasama ang ating mga guro, paghahanda ng lesson plan o pagtuturo sa ating mga estudyante sa TV, pagdidisenyo ng silid-aralan para sa buwan ng wika o fair hanggang gumabi, at iba pa. Ang oras noon ay sinusukat sa karanasan natin kasama ang isa't isa. At masasabi natin ito ang tunay na oras o sa English, real time. Sa ngayon, ang oras na alam mo ay literal na magkaiba ng ilang segundo depende sa computer o cellphone mo. Nakagawian na rin natin ang asynchronous sessions kung saan pwede mag-aral o sagutin ang mga hinihinging gawain sa sarili nating oras. Kung may virtual meeting naman, ang internet ang nagdidikta ng oras, kung gaano kabilis o kabagal ang takbo ng usapan. Hindi may pagkakaila, nadala ng social distancing ang pagbabago ng pagkilala natin sa oras. Ani nga ni Einstein, time is relative, sapagkat nakadepende ito sa ginagawa natin habang lumilipas ang panahon. Ang isang taon sa grade 12 ay parang naging 2 taon dahil sa dami ng mga adjustments upang tayo'y masanay sa bagong normal. Iba't ibang karanasan, kanya-kanyang kalagayan. Sa kabilang banda, kung titingnan ito sa mas malawak na perspektibo, marahil ang isang taong pagtatrabaho ng mga minimum wage na manggagawa at maliliit na negosyo ay mistulang di matapos-tapos dahil sa pag-aalala at pagkayod para sa kanilang pamilya. At ang haba ng oras ng pag-aasikaso ng mga pasyente ng ating mga frontliners sa ospital ay parang wala ring katapusan dahil sa siklo na dala ng COVID-19. Ang oras mga kaibigan ay lalong naging mahalaga dahil sa pandemya. Tumaas at hindi matatawaran ang halaga, ngunit hindi kailanman pabibili. Magkaiba man ang pagtingin natin sa oras, masisiguro kung lahat tayo ay gustong sulitin ang bawat minuto na binayaan tayo. Katulad ng takbo ng oras, wala tayong ibang direksyon kundi paharap. Ang pagkatapos na ito ay tatagal ng ilang oras lamang. Pero ano ba ang tunay na halaga nito? Ang sagot ay hindi nakapaloob sa diploma, hindi matatagpuan sa pagmarcha, hindi sa pakikipagkamay sa isa't isa, o pati sa pagsuot ng toga. Kundi ang pagbabalik tanaw sa 2 taon, sa daan-daang oras ng paglinang ng ating kaalaman at kakayahan, pagbuo ng mga matitibay na koneksyon at mabubuting pagkakaibigan, pagsubok sa mga bagong bagay at paglampas sa mga hamong humadlang sa atin, maliit man o malaki. At mula roon, kikilalanin natin ang mga mukha at pangalan ng mga individual na naglakas loob na umapak sa gusali ng senior high school noong Shorsen noong nakaraang 2 taon at matagumpay na nakamark as done ngayong taon. Hindi naging madali ang paglalakbay, ngunit sa tulong ng mga taong malapit sa atin at ang tiwalang binigay natin sa isa't isa, nahubog tayo sa kung sino man tayo ngayon. Kasama sa mga ito, ang ating mga magulang na walang sawang sumuporta sa atin, mga guro na nagbigay ng oras upang gawing matatag ang ating pundasyon, mga kaklaseng tumulong na pag-aanin ang bawat araw, at iba pang tao na nagturo sa atin ng tamang asal at kung paano makitungo sa kapwa. Mauli, sa pagpapatuloy ng okusyong ito, alalahanin natin na sa bawat pagtatapos ay may habilin at pangako. Bilang mga nagtapos sa Ateneo, inaasahan tayong maging tagapagpadala ng serbisyo sa mga nangangailangan, malayo man o malapit. Ano man ang ating pangarap sa buhay, naway maging aktibo tayo sa pagbuo ng lipunan kung saan lahat ay napapakinggan, nirerespeto, kinikilala ang likas na dignidad at isinasama sa plano tungo sa mas maunlad na kinabukasan. Ito ang tatak Ateneo. Tayo na ang susunod na frontliners ng malawakang pagbabago. Mga Pilipinong kritikal na nag-iisip, marunong makinig at magsalita, mapagpakumbaba at tapat, ginagamit ang talento at kaalaman sa pagbuo ng mga solusyon, at hindi makukontento hanggat makamit ang mga desisyong makabubuti para sa nakararami. Maraming salamat po sa oportunidad na ito upang magbigay ng talumpati. Sa aking mga magulang, guro, kaibigan at kaklase, maraming salamat. Inaalay natin ang lahat ng ito sa Diyos. Muli, pagbati sa ating pagkatapos, maraming salamat.
Pakinggan naman po natin ang talumpati ng pasasalamat ni Carl Robin G. Saluta ng 12 Old Corn.
Sa aming minamahal na punong guro, Ginang Di Malanta, mga guro, panauhin, magulang, kawani ng paaralan at kapwa mag-aaral na nakikinig, isang mapagpalang hapon sa inyong lahat. Sa karangalang ipinagkaloob sa akin, hayaan niyong magbalik tanaw tayo sa ating 2 taong lumipas dito sa ASHS. Sa unang pagtapak sa mga pasilyo ng paaralan, damagad ang bilis ng pagtibok ng puso ng lahat. Pumukaw sa pansin natin ang mga nakapalamuting banderitas at makukunin ng mga paskil sa pagdiriwang ng taunang pag-ampok sa mga bagong mag-aaral o mas kilala bilang SHORSEM. Kaagapay ng pagkasabik ang di may iwasang kabat-alinlangan. Hudyat na naman ang panibagong simula sa ating mga buhay. Bawat sulyap sa kaliwat kanan, lahat ay kakaiba, natatangi. Panibagong kapaligiran na dapat kasanayan. Kay Ginang Di Malanta, taos-puso po kami nagpapasalamat sa pagtanggap sa amin sa pamilyang iyong handang buuin. Hindi may aalis sa aming pagkatao ang inyong mensahe nang una ka naming marinig na magtalumpati. Nang dahil dito, nasimulan namin may sa puso ang tunay na kahulugan ng pagiging Atenista. Lumipas ang ilang buwan, dumating ang taon ng pagdiriwang ng buwan ng wika, na siyang nagbigay daan upang makilala ng lubusan ng ating mga kaklase. Dito, numuhok ang bawat isa sa samot-saring patimpalak na nagpamana sa mga nakamamanghang talento nating lahat. Sa mga gabing nanatili tayo sa paaralan, upang buuin ang mga costume ng mga modelo ng klase, mga palamuti sa mga pader sa pistang bayan, at mga himig at liriko ng mga awitin para sa harana, lahat tayo nakibahagi sa pagpapayaman ng kultura ng paaralan. Sabay-sabay din natin dinanas ang pagod mula sa konseptualisasyon hanggang sa eksekusyon ng mga ilalahok sa mga patimpalak. Hindi ito may sasakatuparan kung hindi tayo kapit-pisig na inalalayan ng bawat isa. Kapwa natin pinunan ang pagkukulang ng bawat isa. Kaya para sa lahat ng ito, lubos ang pasasalamat para sa mga klase nating walang pag-alinlangang ibinuhos ang sarili sa pagtapos ng mga proyekto at pati na rin sa pagtulong sa ating mga asignatura. At syempre, malaking pasasalamat din sa mga pagkakataong mas nakilala namin ng aming mga kamag-aral na nagbunga ng pagkakaibigang dadalhin hanggang sa pagtanda. Para naman sa pagtuklas ng ating kakayahan, naging bahagi tayo ng iba't ibang organisasyon at komite. Naging panibagong pagkakataon ng lahat ng ito na mas paunilin pa ang sarili. Isa sa mga komiteng miniambag sa pamana ng ating batch ay ang Batch Project Committee sa kanilang matagumpay na pagsasagawa ng ating una't huling prom. Naging hakbang ang prom upang matuto tayong tumayo sa sarili nating mga paa. Para sa mga miyembro ng BPC, ang prom ang gumabay sa kanilang akuin ang responsibilidad na mag-organisa ng isang malaking selebrasyon. At sa lahat naman namang dumalo, ang ating prom ay ang tumulong sa ating linangin ng ating taglay na husay sa pakikipagtalastasan sa ating kapwa mag-aaral at mga inimbitahan nila. Salamat sa lahat ng bahagi ng BPC na hindi hinayaang maging hadlang ang banta na magsisimula ng kasalukuyang pandemya. Hindi ito may sasakotuparan kung hindi dahil sa pagpapala ng may kapal. Maraming salamat po dahil pinagbigyan niyo kami magsama at magsalo kahit sa huling pagkakataon. Pagpasok natin sa panibagong taon, ang dating inakalang nurok na mga pagsubok ay hinigitan pa ng kinailangang umangkop tayo sa taong pampaaralang online dulot ng pandemya. Sinamahan ng mga dating pagsubok ang panibagong hamon ng panahon na sanayin muli ang sarili sa isang sistemang wala pang pamilyar. Habang pinakikiramdaman ng lahat ang bagong kalakaran, nag-umpisa na rin ang walang humpay na mga gawaing dapat tapusin, ang mga gabing piniling idilit ang mata upang mag-aral, at ang tili walang katapusang deadlines. Sa kabila ng paghihirap, naging tulay pa rin ang taong ito sa pagpapatibay at pagbuo ng mga pagkakaibigan. Dahil sa taong ito, higit nating naunawaan ang halaga ng pagtutulungan at pakikiramay sa bawat isa. Maraming salamat din sa mga gurong bukal sa kanilang puso ang paggabay sa amin habang hinarap namin ang transisyon sa bagong sistema. Nang papalapit na ang ating pagtatapos, nagsimula na rin ang ating paghahanda para sa kolehiyo. Hudyat na ng ilang buwang pagdinilay sa kursong kukunin. Bukod sa malalim na pag-iisip, kinailangan nating ibalanse ang pagsusumite ng gawain sa paaralan at paghahagilap ng mga dokumentong kakailanganin sa paggawa ng mga aplikasyon sa iba't ibang pamantasan. Dalawa sa mga kagawaran ng ating paaralang nakatulong sa mga aplikasyon ay ang registrar at guidance. Hindi rin mawawala ang mga guro at mga moderator na lubos kaming inunawa sa mga oras na ito at ginabayan kami sa pagpili ng aming kursong kukunin. Hindi mapapantayan ang inyong presensya at pasensya sa panahong ito. At huli, taus-pusong pasasalamat ang alay namin sa mga gurong nagsakripisyo ng personal na oras sa paggawa ng rekomendasyon para sa aming aplikasyon. Hindi may kakaila na sa loob ng 2 taon ay marami na tayong pagsubok na hinarap. Subalit, humayo tayo at matagumpay na inabot ang rurok ng ating mga potensyal at pangarap. At sa lahat ng mga pinagdaanan natin, nanatili sa tabi natin ang ating mga magulang at kapamilya. Para rito, lubos kami nagpapasalamat. Bilang huling pasasalamat sa mga nagdaang panahon, hayaan niyong aking ibahagi ang ating naging paglalakbay sa tulong ng imahe ng isang matayog na puno. Mga binhing nasa sisidlan, na di masukat ang potensyal, kinupkop sa isang tahanan. Sa punong guro ng paaralan, ang iyong aruga at kinaadman ay kalinga ng tubig sa lupang paglalaguan. Sa aming pangalawang magulang, mga gurong pataba sa aming kaisipan, nininang kami ng walang pag-alinlangan upang lumago kinalaunan. Lumipas sa mga buwan, lumaki ang tangkay, dahon ay sumaga ng tunay, upang magbigay lilim sa nangangailangan. Sa ating mga pinagdaanan, naitanim ang katatagan, kumalat ang sangang kawayan, punong matayog ang kinalabasan. Mula sa hamak na buto, ngayon punong ganap na tayo. Sa oras na ito, tuklasin ang bunga ng mga punong-puno ng saya, dalita at pagkatuto. Bilang wakas, nais kong itanim sa ating isipan na tulad ng puno, hindi ito ang huling pagkakataon na tayo ay magbubunga. Oras nang ipamana sa lahat ang bunga ng 2 taon ng ating pagsisikap. Sa ating pagtuntong sa kolehiyo at sa hinaharap, patuloy nating ialay ang bunga na natatangi sa atin para sa ikabubuti ng lahat at ikaluluwalhati ng Panginoon. Maraming salamat.
Ihaharap po ngayon sa inyo ni Ginoong Luis Alan Melo Santos, pangalawang punong guro sa usaping pang-akademiko, ang mga tatanggap ng Gawad Kahusayang Panlarang.
Ipinagkakaloob ang Gawad Kahusayang Panlarang sa isang nagtatapos na sa loob ng 2 taon ay nagpamalas ng kahanga-hangang akademikong kakayahan at naabot ang pinakamataas na ranggo sa kinabibilangang larang. Taglay ng mga kandidato ang marka sa kabutihang asal na hindi bababa sa B para sa ika-11 baitang at markang hindi bababa sa S para sa ika-12 baitang. Ang Jose A. Cruz SJ Award o Gawad Kahusayang Panlarang para sa Accountancy, Business and Management ay ipinagkakaloob kay Jillian K. Madison S. Fernandez ng 12 Aqua Viva. Ang James P. Dunn SJ Award o Gawad Kahusayang Panlarang para sa General Academics ay pinagkakaloob kay Maria Francesca T. Manalo, 12 Jeronimo. Ang James J. O'Brien SJ Award o Gawad Kahusayang Panlarang para sa Humanities at Social Sciences ay ipinagkakaloob naman kay Luis Ricardo I. Francisco ng 12 Mickey. Ang Prudencio F. Makayan SJ Award o Gawad Kahusayang Panlarang para sa Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics ay ipinagkakaloob kay Nina Beatriz V. Rivera ng 12 Old Corn at Carl Robin G. Saluta ng 12 Old Corn.
Taon-taon, pinararangalan ng paaralan ang isang mag-aaral dahil sa kanyang katangi-tanging talino, sikap at disiplina. Kinikilala rin siya sa kanyang bukod tanging pagpupunyagi na mapaunlad ang lahat ng kanyang kakayahan bilang paghahanda sa kinabukasan at sa paglilingkod sa kapwa, sa bayan at sa Diyos. Mga magulang at mga kaibigan, narito upang maghatid ng kanyang talumpati ng pamamaalam ang valedictorian ng klase ng nakatatandang mataas na paaralang Ateneo de Manila, taong 2021, si Nina Beatriz V. Rivera ng 12 Old Corn.
Father Roberto C. Yap Jr., the Jesuit Fathers, Mrs. Maria Victoria de Malanta, faculty members, administrators and staff, our families, friends, and my dear fellow graduates, good afternoon! As I stand before you today to bid farewell, celebrate the milestones of our batch, we are aware of the lingering effects of this pandemic. Loss, grief, fear, and anxiety. Indeed, saying goodbye is seldom delightful. However, goodbyes often result in an outpour of love and appreciation. It dawned on me that while farewells are heartbreaking, they can be transcendent and peaceful blessings as memories will live on forever. Saying goodbye, no matter how joyous or painful, is in itself a gift. While the usual highlights, events, and activities of our final year in senior high school were all cancelled, we still have this day, albeit virtually, to say our farewells and give each other the gift of goodbye. It is the gift of saying goodbye that provides us with the opportunity to take a courageous reckoning of ourselves and the future. Before facing what lies ahead, however, we must first learn to acknowledge our feelings, as it is only by doing so that we will have closure and the way to properly say goodbye. First, we must acknowledge our fears and uncertainties. When we walked into the hallowed halls of Ateneo Senior High School 24 months ago, an immediate sense of trepidation struck most of us. Due to the lofty standards and proud history of this institution, many of us asked, will I be able to fit in? Will I be able to adapt and survive academically? In grade 11, we were initially anxious about how we can adapt to a new environment. We were immediately challenged by the volume and difficulty of academic work and school activities. By March 2020, our school year came to an abrupt and unceremonious end. Looking back, saying goodbye to our classmates on that last day seemed to carry more weight than it used to. As the summer break ended, we were faced with the painful truth we were not going back to our campus as senior high school students. A part of our life had ended, and sadly, we were not able to say goodbye to one another properly. The early days of this pandemic and the mandatory community quarantines undoubtedly created uncertainties in our lives. The rapid transition to online learning in grade 12 was emotionally stressful, to say the least. We were deprived of all the actual learnings we were accustomed to experiencing. While this feeling of uneasiness persisted, our reawakening adaptation to a new and uncertain world of e-learning was our only way forward. We experienced with ambivalence many firsts, such as synchronous and asynchronous environments, as well as accompanying challenges. Sadly, these many firsts took a toll on our mental health, because beyond the virtual connection, we needed to connect emotionally in these times of anxiety and uncertainty. We did not let these uncertainties become personal impediments. Rather, took it as an opportunity to modify our way of thinking. Despite a struggle we've had to face, we still managed and thrived. We managed to get here today. Hence our feelings of strength and hope. Although our sense of loss and deprivation was magnified this school year, the difficulties anticipated turned out to be opportunities to reaffirm our ability to adapt and overcome challenges. We persevered. We emerged stronger and coping with change. We harnessed our skills in critical thinking. We became creative, imaginative, resilient, and ever determined to navigate and succeed in the last year of our senior high school. As the school year progressed, we found a silver lining in the recurrent lockdowns. In the safety and comfort of our homes, started to appreciate the simplest pleasures we have taken for granted. Spending quality time with our families, attending virtual meetups with friends and relatives, and learning to cherish and re-energize ourselves. We learned to be patient, respectful, and receptive to the ideas of others. We also learned to accept the different and embrace the unknown. This paved the way for us to show empathy. We found joy in giving and in serving others. We found God in all things. While we are saddened by the mere thought of having to let go, this institution and the people therein nurtured us these past 2 years will serve as springboards that will help us fulfill our missions and dreams. Throughout the year, we drew our strength from our beloved parents, relatives, teachers, classmates, and friends who all treated us with compassion and understanding. They were our keys to learning. We dealt with our fears head on, transformed our anxieties into courage. We are blessed to be in an institution that provided us with a platform with which to nurture our individuality. Now we realize that saying goodbye is indeed a gift if we learn to acknowledge that it's normal to be scared and anxious. Some of us will stay, while others will move on from the hill. As we go our separate ways, pervasive anxiety will again set in as we face the formidable academic rigors of university life through an online setting once more. Again, the apprehension of being able to fit in and adapt comes to the fore. We are all hoping for an improvement in the situation that will eventually allow us to see one another face to face and learn inside a classroom again. So what do we do in the meantime? We live each day as a gift and a blessing, ever grateful for the simplest of things we find our way through. We acknowledge yet do not succumb to our fears and anxieties. We greet each day with hope, faith, strength, and gratitude. Hope that is built on our faith in God, who gives us the strength to endure and the courage to be persistent and innovative in the face of our daily challenges. Today, we memorialize our senior high school years at the Ateneo. The time will always be uniquely close to our hearts. We acknowledge these last 2 years will forever be etched in our lives. Completed chosen strands will hopefully bring us closer to our goals and dreams. Truly, our time at the Ateneo gave us a glimpse of how much grit, determination, patience, and sacrifice each of us has to pour out for us to grow. The Ateneo also instilled in us values of integrity, solidarity, commitment to excellence, and learning and service to others. With these values, we see God in all things and strive for God's greater glory. For this, we are grateful to the Ateneo de Manila University, our junior and senior high school teachers and administrators for opening our eyes to the reality of our world, and at the same time, instilling in us necessary drive and skills to be dedicated to our purposes, hopes, and dreams. I am personally grateful to the congregation of Sisters of St. Paul of Chartres. I am a Polinian. I am an Atenean. We are all Ateneans. Yes, we may be graduating in the midst of a pandemic, but this will not define us. Rather, this is a pivotal moment we can say goodbye to the versions of ourselves who doubted and never thought that we could survive this. This is where saying goodbye becomes our gift to ourselves. It is the gift of starting over, the beginning of a new and perhaps an even challenging journey that will lead us in the next chapter of our lives. Congratulations, my dear batchmates, and Godspeed.
Ipakikilala po ngayon ni Ginang Maria Victoria Panlilio de Malanta, punong guro ng nakatatandang mataas na paaralang Ateneo de Manila, ang ating panauhing tagapagsalita.
Sa pagpapatuloy ng tradisyon, sa pagpili ng panauhing tagapagsalita, mula sa isa sa mga magulang ng 12 baitang, malugod kong ipinakikilala ang panauhing tagapagsalita para sa taong ito, si Dr. Benjamin Gerardo T. Tolosa Jr. Si Dr. Tolosa ay ang magulang ni Benjamin ng 12 Ogilvy. Sa kasalukuyan, siya ang Associate Dean para sa Core Curriculum at Propesor ng Agham Pampolitika sa Loyola Schools. Nagtuturo din siya sa kagawaran ng Economics at Development Studies Program kung saan siya ang tagapagtatag na direktor. Natamo niya ang kanyang degree sa AB in Economics Honors Program bilang magna cum laude sa pamantasang Ateneo de Manila. Ang kanyang masterado sa Development Studies sa University of East Anglia bilang isang British Council Scholar at ang kanyang doktorado sa Pilosopiya sa Agham Pampolitika mula sa University of Minnesota bilang isang Fulbright MacArthur Scholar. Ang kanyang mga akademikong pananaliksik at pampublikong gawaing intelektual ay malalim na nakaugnay sa kanyang pagtuturo at paglilingkod sa komunidad universidad. Ang kanyang mga akademikong interes ay nakatuon sa larang ng politika at kaunlaran, pampolitikang ekonomiya ng daigdig at pamamahala, komparatibong ideolohiya, pagbabago sa lipunan at henerasyon, relihiyon, panlipunang pagbabago at demokratisasyon. Sinusuhayan ng mga ito ang kanyang mga gawa sa sosyo-politikal na edukasyon ng kabataan at pampamumunong panghubog. Ang naging inspirasyon sa kanyang pagtuturo at pananaliksik ay ang pakikipag-ugnayan sa mga organisasyong pang-mag-aaral, mga grupong pansimbahan at mga kilusang panlipunan. Naniniwala siya na ang mga refleksyong ito ay sumusuporta sa pag-usbong ng mga demokratikong institusyon sa pamamagitan ng pagtulong upang bumuo ng intelektual na balangkas para sa sosyo-politikal na pagsusuri at mga konkretong pagpipilian para sa politikal na pakikisangkot. Bukod sa kanyang dedikasyon at pagmamahal para sa edukasyong sosyo-politikal ng kabataan at pampamumunong paghubog, itunuturing din niya ang kanyang pagiging ama bilang isa sa pinakamalaking tagumpay. Si Dr. Tolosa ay isang maarugang magulang at tagapagtaguyod ng pamilya. Maipagmamalaki rin niyang isa siya sa mga magulang ng isa sa mga magsisipagtapos ngayong taon. Mayroong siyang matatamis na alaala sa batch na ito na lumago sa Ateneo. Mula sa maagang hatid sundo, sa pagdalo sa mga arawang 7:30 a.m. na misa sa kapilya, at hanggang sa pagtulong at pagboboluntaryo sa mga aktibidad ng push at prep. Katuwang ang kanyang asawang si Tess. Ang lahat ng ito ay itinuturing niyang biyaya. Malaki ang kanyang pasasalamat sa pribilehiyo at oportunidad na makapagsalita ngayon sa mga magtatapos na mag-aaral, mga magulang at pamilya, at sa komunidad ng Ateneo de Manila Senior High School para sa isang makahulugang selebrasyon. Mga kaibigan, malugod kong ipinakikilala sa inyo ang ating panauhing tagapagsalita para sa palatuntunan ng pagtatapos taong 2020 hanggang 2021, Dr. Benjamin Gerardo T. Tolosa, Jr.
Father Roberto C. Yap, S.J., President of the Ateneo de Manila University. Father Joaquin Jose Marie C. Sumpaico, S.J., Vice President for Basic Education. Mrs. Maria Victoria Panlilio Di Malanta, Principal of the Senior High School. Administrators, faculty members, professionals, and staff. Fellow parents, alumni, and friends of the Ateneo. My dear graduating class, of 2021. First of all, congratulations from the bottom of my heart. I share your deep joy, pride, and gratitude for this significant achievement and milestone in your lives today, your graduation from senior high school. Part of me is still amazed and even quite unbelieving that you have completed your years in basic education and are moving on to college. Kay bilis naman talaga ng panahon. I think my fellow parents can identify with me when I say I can still imagine your first day of school in prep or kinder, the many seventh birthday parties we attended, your first Holy Communion and confirmation, the yearly fiestas and salos-salos, whether in grade school or high school, the basketball, football, volleyball, track, or swimming events or lessons, the stage plays and musical performances, field trips, class nights and retreats, your graduations from grade school and junior high school, and yes, your grade 11 junior prom, which was shortly before the pandemic and quarantine. And now here you are, suddenly on the verge of adulthood at 18 or 17 years of age, already qualified to vote next year. And I hope you don't forget to register if you haven't yet. Many of you have already made an initial choice of college major program and university to enroll in, and maybe are even beginning to think of future careers. I know this year has been challenging and stressful because you've had to make decisions for yourselves that will have a bearing on your future. Growing towards independence and maturity means you have to take on more responsibilities, both at school and at home. And this year, those two worlds have merged. It's exciting to dream and imagine tomorrow full of possibilities, but it also demands careful planning, time management, and defining priorities. And it has been a year like no other. Every year we speak of a graduating class or batch or cohort, but we often also speak of generations, so that you are not just a batch of graduates, but also part of a generation. The more common and popular notion of the term associates it with age chronology, so that we usually talk of baby boomers, Gen Xers, Gen Yers, millennials, and Gen Zers, reducing generational identities and characteristics to a fixed range of years. There is, however, a less familiar usage of the term that is richer and more meaningful for our present context. In sociology, a generation is defined by a shared experience of a traumatic event that produces a collective consciousness with potential for collective action, allowing its members to play a part in social change. You are the first batch of Ateneo Senior High School graduates who went through a whole school year amidst the anxieties, uncertainties, and sufferings resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic and the consequent community quarantine. It required you to spend grade 12 fully online, physically distant from your classmates and friends, and locked out of our beautiful Ateneo campus. It called for many adjustments in your school and home life, including possibly dealing with illness and mental health issues. But you are not alone in this experience. Your senior high school teachers and administrators also went through it and did their share to build the Ateneo Blue Cloud, our online campus. They carefully prepared programs and lessons within the framework of the adaptive design for learning. They accompanied you in your intellectual, psychosocial, and spiritual formation despite the physical distance. And you were, of course, in lockdown with us, your parents and family, whether you liked it or not, with the lines between home, school, and office often blurring and these spaces flowing into one another not always easily and smoothly. So we are all members of what we might call the COVID-19 generation, despite our age differences. And by extension, we can say this for students, families, schools, and other communities across the country and indeed the world. In that sense, we all belong to the same generation. But there are differences and disparities. The experience and consciousness of the same social trauma is also shaped by social location, position, and relations. As we continue to confront an invisible virus, we are also witnesses to an increasingly visible social illness of inequality and division within and across countries, whether in access to food and other basic necessities, or the availability of effective vaccines, life-saving healthcare, and advanced digital technology, or opportunities for secure and safe employment or other sources of income and livelihood. Across the world, there are differences not just in the wealth and resources of countries, but also in the competence, integrity, and accountability of particular governments, and whether or not they are truly committed to serving the public and promoting the common good. These disparities have been heightened by the pandemic and intensified its effects. In his book, Let Us Dream, Pope Francis warns that despite this era-defining experience of our generation, we could tragically end up in a much worse post-pandemic world if we surrender to the temptations of isolation and indifference. He says the path to a better future, the subtitle of his book, starts with the discovery and recognition of ourselves as a people with a shared dignity, with a history, an identity, and a soul. And for him, this dignity that unites us comes from our common origin, our common home, and our common destiny. Thus, we hold a promise in our hearts and a gift that we can share with others, giving hope for our world and our future. Pope Francis points out that, quote, calamities for a time throw us off balance, yet paradoxically, they can allow a people to recover its memory and therefore its capacity for action, its hope. Let it not be said in years to come that in response to the coronavirus crisis, we failed to act to restore the dignity of our peoples, to recover our memory, and to remember our roots, unquote. The year of your graduation, and thus your batch 2021, is unique not only because it marks 1 year of the COVID-19 pandemic. It's a particular blessing that we also have special commemorations that can allow us to reflect more deeply on our experiences, bring us together as a community, and help us to act collectively with a shared purpose, vision, and hope for a better future. In the sociology of generations, commemorations are important because they create a sense of a public past. Commemorations sustain social memory. As Pope Francis emphasizes, remembering awakens us to our history and identity, leads us to recover our roots and discover our heritage. It is also an invitation to freely and gratefully share our gifts as individuals and as a community to a divided and wounded world in need of reconciliation and healing. There are 5 anniversaries that we mark this year that may help us recognize our gifts as a people. This awareness can start with our small community at the Ateneo de Manila. But we are also called to share that discovery and uphold that same dignity among a much wider community. For Pope Francis, this is the starting point for renewing the world. We began celebrating last May 20th, the start of the Ignatian year, commemorating 500 years since the Battle of Pamplona, a key moment in the conversion of St. Ignatius. As proud Ateneo Senior High School graduates on the cusp of your college years, you can probably identify with the figure of Inigo, who was anything but saintly and spiritual in the beginning. He was instead vain and ambitious, full of dreams of worldly exploits, riches, and honors as a knight of the Spanish king. But the Lord had other plans. The cannonball that shatters his leg becomes the means for Inigo to encounter God. The Lord lovingly draws on his strengths and redirects his old passions toward following and serving him, Christ the King. This same God, acting in our lives and the world today, personally meets us where we are. Mind you, even while you are online playing League of Legends, Valorant, or NBA 2K21. He is in our hearts. He gives us His Spirit to help us recognize and face the cannonball moments in our lives. Even as we might get decentered from our narrow plans for ourselves, He recenters us, turning our gaze to see all things new in Him. He helps us to discover the mission to which He calls us despite our weaknesses. He patiently forms us to grow in inner freedom to make life-giving choices. At this moment of transition in your lives, the story of St. Ignatius is a reminder that growing up means not just finding your field of interest and eventual profession, but more importantly, discerning your true passion and purpose according to His loving plan. Indeed, it means discovering your vocation, to follow the Lord beyond your immediate family and friends into a world with many needs that you can respond to with your unique gifts. Despite our poverty and underdevelopment as a country, we Filipinos also have gifts to give to one another and to a world trying to rise from the devastation of the pandemic and the socio-political ills it has exposed. One of these jewels of the pauper is our faith. As the great Jesuit historian and humanist Father Horacio de la Costa wrote in 1946, amidst the death and destruction of the Second World War. He says, our faith and our music, quote, are the bonds that bind us together, the soul that makes us one. This nation may be conquered, trampled upon, enslaved, but it cannot perish. Like the sun that dies every evening, it will rise again from the dead, unquote. This year, we also commemorate the 500th anniversary of Christianity in the Philippines. But it is a complex history because the cross of Christ arrived with the sword of the Spanish conquistadores. Catholicism was intertwined with colonialism, even though they are distinct. We have continued to embrace the faith as our own, even as we have repudiated the invaders who initially brought it to our shores. Ironically, it is now Filipino migrants who are populating churches in the old colonizer and missionary countries of Europe and bringing the faith to their homes. But there are continuing tensions. In his later work, Father de la Costa himself reflected on the hybridity or the split nature of Filipino culture, with many disjoints between formal institutions and long-held informal practices and norms. According to Father de la Costa, quote, for our people, the faith dominated with its ritual and theocratic forms, but it did not help to reinterpret or recast our social norms. Like government, it became a superimposition on the community. Community life called for processions, church weddings, and burials, but the deeper convictions of conscience were not touched. There is a sentimental value to thinking that we are all Christians, but since Christianity fails to penetrate our motivational mainsprings, Christianity fails to unite us in our life, unquote. This is a powerful critique of Christianity and the Catholic Church in the Philippines from the first Filipino provincial superior of the Philippine Jesuits. It is a direct challenge to us here at the Ateneo de Manila, including you, young Atenean graduates of the senior high school. How well do we know and appreciate our faith? Is it something we just take for granted, handed down by our families, schools, and parishes, a cultural byproduct of centuries of colonialism? Or is it a matter of conscientious choice, which we can explain and defend, and which informs our decisions and actions? There is a moment in our history as a people when our faith became the wellspring and driving force of social-political change, when we could proudly claim it was our gift to the world. Handog ng Pilipino sa mundo, mapayapang paraang pagbabago. This year, we also commemorate the 35th anniversary of the EDSA Revolution. Let me share a little of that story because, like a number of your parents and teachers, I'm part of that generation who became witnesses to our nation's singular triumph over authoritarianism. On the surface, EDSA was a spontaneous 4-day mobilization of individuals and groups, coming as a direct response to a personal appeal from Jaime Cardinal Sin. But it was also the result of a longer process of painstaking education, organization, and mobilization that started at least since the late 1960s and 1970s, but especially after the assassination of Ninoy Aquino in 1983. It eventually led to active participation in the 1986 snap presidential election in support of Cory Aquino. These formative experiences in active nonviolence as a strategy, principle, and even spirituality led to the internalization among key EDSA participants of what Father Jose Blanco SJ called alay dangal, an offering of dignity. It was a new political translation of bayanihan inspired by Ninoy Aquino's heroic self-sacrifice. The French Jesuit political scientist Father Pierre de Charentonnet has observed that the participation of Christians at EDSA may seem mundane, and yet it was politically effective. People appealed personally to the soldiers and prayed in front of them. Masses were said at the barricades. People sang the Amanamin and Pananagutan. Nuns stood before tanks and led the recitation of the Rosary while people held up statues of the Virgin Mary and the crucifix. Quote, these events touched a cultural and religious background common to all belligerents. It matched the culture of a people whose religion was part of it. Nowhere is civil society that close to spirituality and Catholicism, unquote. For those who saw the struggle against dictatorship as part of bearing witness to Christ, it was a deeply personal commitment, a matter of conviction. Father de la Costa died in 1977, but he would have been pleased with what happened in 1986. In a distinctly Filipino manner and style, the Catholic faith had become part of national life and indeed a source of unity. A key catalyst for the EDSA uprising was the historic post-election statement of the Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines, which declared the Marcos government as having no moral basis because it had deliberately subverted the people's will in the electoral process. For the bishops, what was called for was a nonviolent struggle for justice. But the statement was not just a moral and political judgment. It also showed a sincere desire and effort to listen to and to be one with the people. The CBCP said, quote, in a creative, imaginative way, under the guidance of Christ's Spirit, let us pray together, reason together, decide together, act together, always to the end that the truth prevail, that the will of the people be fully respected, unquote. The church was becoming a community rather than just an institution. As Father de la Costa had hoped, the church at EDSA was no longer sila, but tayo. But the faith in God and the church as a community also translated crucially into a faith in ourselves as a people capable of socio-political transformation. Father de la Costa reminds us, however, that history is only prologue. Even as EDSA is a genuine popular achievement, we are also aware of the many limitations of its vision and outcome, especially the persistence of weak and unresponsive political and socio-economic institutions dominated by a few elite families. Continuing poverty, inequality, and insecurity have fueled a deep resentment among the Filipino people against politics as usual and traditional politicians. This has led to a renewed attraction to authoritarian figures who present themselves as outsiders, but who in fact are also political elites. They exploit the very urgent and valid demands for social justice and political inclusion in order to advance a very narrow, personalistic, and self-serving agenda. Thus today, more than ever, as we struggle to rebuild our country and our world amidst the suffering around us, And as you young adult citizens begin to make political decisions, what is crucial, as Father de la Costa has also emphasized, is not only how we understand our history, but also how we act because of it. Let me end by pointing to two more commemorations that we mark this year. They can help us recognize our identity and dignity as a people and also inspire us to dream, directing us to a path for a better future, as Pope Francis has said. They are the anniversaries of people who coincidentally share the same name, Jose Rizal and Saint Joseph, San Jose. Today, the day of your graduation from the Ateneo Senior High School and the commencement of the next phase of your formation, is the 160th birth anniversary of the foremost alumnus of the Ateneo de Manila and the national hero of the Philippines. This year also marks the 125th anniversary of Rizal's execution by the Spanish colonial government in 1896, which inspired and galvanized our people in the struggle for sovereignty and democracy, which in many respects continues today. Pope Francis has also declared December 8, 2020 to 2021 as the year of Saint Joseph, the husband of Mary, our Blessed Mother, and adoptive father of Jesus, celebrating the 150th anniversary of the proclamation of Saint Joseph as patron of the Universal Church. Both of these commemorations provide a basis for unity and a call to action as a Filipino nation and as God's people. Marahil naalala pa ninyo mula sa mga klase sa Filipino sa junior high school na sa katapusan ng El Filibusterismo nagsalita si Jose Rizal sa pamamagitan ni Padre Florentino sa gitna ng kabiguan at tila kawalang pag-asa. Hayaan ninyong bigkasin ko ngayon bilang isang ama at guro, bilang isang nakatatandang Pilipino, ang hamon at pangarap ni Rizal para sa inyo. Nasaan ang kabataan na maglalaan ng kanilang mga ginintuang sandali, ng kanilang mga pangarap at ng kanilang kasigabuhan na ikabubuti ng tinubuan? Nasaan ang kabataan na magbububo ng kanilang dugo upang mahugasan ang gayong karaming krimen, ang gayong karaming kahihiyan, ang gayong karaming kamuhi-muhing mga bagay? Dalisay at walang bahid dungis ang buhay na kailangan maging handog upang ang alay ay maging karapat-dapat. Nasaan kayo, kabataan, na magtataglay ng sigla ng buhay na tumakas na sa aming mga ugat, ng kalinisan ng pagkukurong na dungisan na sa aming diwa, at ng lagablab at sigabong nanlamig na sa aming mga puso? Hinihintay namin kayo, o kabataan. Hinihintay namin kayo. Paano kayo tutugon sa hamon na ito? Sabi ni Pope Francis, mangarap tayo. Hindi ba yun ang ginawa ni San Jose? Ang mangarap. Ngunit ang napaniginipan niya ay ang mismong pangarap ng Diyos. Ang kalooban ng Diyos para sa kanyang anak at sa sangkatauhan. At paano tumugon si San Jose? Hindi ba natin siya narinig na magsalita sa Ebanghelyo? Ngunit kumilos siya. Nagtaya siya sa gitna ng mga malakanan, bol at COVID na pangyayari sa buhay niya na tila nagwasak sa mga naunang plano at kagustuhan niya. Naging daan ang kanyang mga pangarap at malayang paghahandog ng sarili. Ang kanyang bukasyon bilang asawa at ama para maisakatuparan ang mismong paghahandog ng Diyos, ang pakikiisa ng Diyos sa sangkatauhan sa pamamagitan ni Kristo na kanyang inampon at pinalaki na siyang kaligtasan nating lahat. Modelo rin si San Jose sa uri ng pagkilos na nagpapalaya, na hindi maingay at nakatuon sa sarili, kundi mapagkumbabang nabubuhay sa liblib ng mga puok at niyayakap ang nasa laylayan dahil naroroon ang Panginoon. Sinabi ng anghel sa kanya, huwag kang mangamba. Lubos siyang nagtiwala sa katapatan ng Diyos. Hindi tayo pababayaan dahil nasa atin ang Diyos. At matatagpuan natin siya kung taimtim natin siyang hahanapin at pakikinggan sa ating buhay. Sa ganitong diwa, nais kong ibahagi sa inyo ang titik ng isang awitin mula kay Father Eduardo Ontiveros, SJ, na natutunan ko nung ako'y nasa kolehiyo. Bilang mga Atenista, saan mang pamantasan kayo magpunta, ito rin ay isang paalala, pamana, at panalangin. Jesus na aking kapatid, sa lupa nami bumalik, iyong mukhay ibang-iba, hindi kita nakikilala. Tulutan mo aking mata, mamulat sa katotohanan. Ikaw po makikilala sa taong mapagkumbaba. Muling binabati ko kayo sa inyong pagkatapos at nagpapasalamat ng lubos sa paghubog sa inyo ng Ateneo de Manila, lalo na ng Senior High School.
Sa pagkakataong ito, ihaharap ni Ginang Maria Victoria Panlilio de Malanta, punong guro ng nakatatandang mataas na paaralang Ateneo de Manila, ang mga kandidato sa pagtatapos kay Padre Roberto C. Yap ng Kapisanan ni Jesus, Pangulo ng Pamantasang Ateneo de Manila.
Padre sumpay ko, ikinagagalak kong ipahayag na sapagkat matagumpay na natapos ng sumusunod na mga mag-aaral ang kursong pang nakatatandang mataas na paaralan ng Pamantasang Ateneo de Manila, pinatutunayan sila ngayong karapat-dapat na tumanggap ng diploma ng nakatatandang mataas na paaralang Ateneo de Manila.
Bilang pangalawang Pangulo ng Batayang Edukasyon, pinagtitibay ko ang pahayag ng punong guro ng nakatatandang mataas na paaralang Ateneo de Manila tungkol sa pagiging karapat-dapat ng mga sumusunod na mag-aaral na tumanggap ng sertipiko ng nakatatandang mataas na paaralang Ateneo de Manila.
Alinsunod sa kapangyarihang ipinagkaloob sa akin ng Republika ng Pilipinas bilang Pangulo ng Pamantasang Ateneo de Manila, tinatanggap kong karapat-dapat ang mga kandidatong idinudulog ngayon na tumanggap ng diploma ng nakatatandang mataas na paaralang Ateneo de Manila, kasama ng mga karapatan at mga pribilehiyong nauukol dito.
Patunay ang medalyong may sagisag ng Ateneo de Manila na karapat-dapat ang isang nagtapos na maituring na isang Atenista batay sa larawan ng huwarang nagtapos ng nakatatandang mataas na paaralang Ateneo de Manila.
Babasahin po ngayon ng mga tagapayo ng bawat klase ng Accountancy, Business at Management Strand ang pangalan ng mga nagtapos. Ihaharap po ngayon ni Marion Kinan C. Del Rosario, tagapayo ng klaseng 12 Aquaviva, ang mga nagtapos sa klase.
Ang mga nagsipagtapos sa klase ng 12, Blessed Rodolfo Aquaviva. Bianca Cheska C. Abelia. Adrian M. Alcantara. Arden A. Alejandro. Sofia Isabel D. Algenio. Alexander Miguel B. Aquino. Van Brendon T. Arpon. Michelle Pauline T. Airoso. Andre Alfonso N. Bautista. Antonio Benito R. Bengzon. Sean Enric T. Kalaykay. Alroy V. Carolino. Kayla Luis A. Chuashauco. Angelo Brian S. Co. Abigail Janine L. De Vera. Kenisha Rain G. Espino. Santino Joaquin C. Estrella. Abdiel M. Evangelista. Jillian K. Madison S. Fernandez. Xavier T. Gozu. David S. Hans. Zachary Isaiah V. Layug. Nathaniel Xavier Malo. Alan Angelo V. Nakpil. Adriel Elijah C. Oblenida. Ana Julien C. Palacio. Jaime A. Rara. Vince Reynard L. Rengel. Angel Eliza A. Reyes. Inigo Miguel J. Singson. Ethan Hendrick O. So. Radrick Angelo B. Soliven. Andre Lorenzo L. Tingzon. Aidan Josea C. Tolentino. Uldarico C. Trawon III. Carl Andre N. Villanueva. At C. Zoe T. Villar.
Ihaharap naman po ngayon ni Gino Miguel R. Macapagal, tagapayan ng klaseng 12 Ancheta, ang mga nagtapos sa klase.
Ang mga nagsipagtapos sa klase ng 12 St. Jose de Anchieta, Diaz de Clavijo. Ana Sofia A. Adaw. John Patrick L. Advincula. Antonio Simeon S. Agoncillo. Ryzen Joram V. Aguilar. Lucas Edward B. Amoncio. Zway Angela A. Balderas. Carl Bennett C. Bangayan. Juan Alvaro C. Bautista. Julius Rafael C. Bautista. Alex Miguel V. Belen. Josh Sebastian N. Caluya. Gabriel Luis C. Castañeda. Adele Feliz M. Castel. Joselito Miguel C. Castro III. John Andre C. Celestial. Pio Francisco R. Corpus. Tara Faye V. Cotara. Joaquin Stuart L. De Guia. John Alexis F. Dizon. Julius Richard G. Furio. Miguel Jericho T. Ho. Javier Fernando E. Ignacio. Sotea Luis T. Co. Justin Carl Lagak. Jerome Lucas J. Lazaro. Miguel Van G. Madayag. Kion Miguel B. Maniego. Joshua Lorenzo A. Mateo. Jose Miguel G. Nunez. Kendrick Davin A. Ong. Skyvin S. Padayhag. Carlo D. Paredes. Clyde L. Pedraja. Lois Sebastian C. Peralta. Joaquin Nicolas Q. Ponzalan. John Lendel Robles. Luis Adrian F. Sales, Juan Miguel P. Salvador, Joshua Adrian G. Santiago, Joaquin Inigo A. Suarez, Marla Yvette L. Tiangson, at si Gabriela P. Zepeda.
Ihaharap naman po ngayon ni Clarence B. Chongson, tagapayo ng klaseng 12 BASIM, ang mga nagtapos sa klase.
Ang mga nagsipagtapos sa klase ng 12 Blessed Jan BASIM. Janica Jen G. Abelia, Javier Alfonso S. Abes, Marcolo Benigno P. Abesamis, Stacy Nicole C. Angeles, Lauren Nathalie A. Asica, Lance Adrian C. Asperas, Jose Alfonso L. Baizas, Red C. Baldonado, Dihan Gandhi E. Bartolome, Miguel Ivan C. Gadag, Lance Matthew M. Calma, Maynard Tustin B. Campanilla,
Ralph Nico C. Chen,
Alexandra H. Co, Jamil Enrique A. Concepcion, Mark Angelo Y. Conchada, Maverick M. Cruz, Sofia Beatriz G. Cruz, Andres Emilio M. Dato, Gabriel Luis S. De Jesus, Enrico Val Rafael B. Del Valle, Diego Luis V. Dumlao, Ella Luis F. Francia, Monica Julian C. Gallardo, Enrico Miguel R. Gao, Jacob Emmanuel G. Hernandez, Luis Miguel C. Hovelaños, Lucas Miguel B. Lim, Kyle Christopher C. Lopez, Jermaine Ellison T. Ocampo, Sofia Marie Orlanes, Ian Andy S. Quintana, Ivan Jacob H. Romero, Enrico Guillermo L. Siasoco, Katrina Isabel R. Soriano, Carlos Joaquin B. Tahan, Nemesio Justin D. Torres Jr., Eric Lorenzo T. Uy, at si Miguel Antonio S. Valeriano.
Ihaharap naman po ngayon ni Jerome Christopher Po, tagapayo ng klaseng 12 Bobola, ang mga nagtapos sa klase.
Ang mga nagsipagtapos sa klase ng 12 St. Andrege Bobola. Julia Marie C. Agbayani, Basilio Isaac Matthew G. Almazan III, Nicholas Luis Y. Alves, Jaime Agustin M. Angeles, Ralph Augusto C. Antonio, Renzo Carl A. Basiao, Yvonne Chloe M. Bayan, Catherine Luis M. Borja, Jose Miguel O. Castañeda, Paulo Gabriel L. Cruz, Zachary P. Cruz, Diego C. De la Cruz, Antonio Vicente C. Enriquez, Ramon Joseph T. Galvezon. Nathaniel Joshua B. Gutierrez. Maria Pauline P. Honrada. Rafael Aaron Y. Hamera. Timothy Paulo R. Liboon. Bernice Wineth R. Lim. Sherry Eloise S. Lim. Pio Lorenzo R. Lingaw. Antonio Marcos A. Madlambayan. Charles Joseph E. Malyahi. Shane Angel Q. Mendiola. Tasha Sabine D. Ong. Ashley M. Owada. Bernardo F. Paat Jr. Cody Anakin D. Pe. Richard Lawrence G. Punong Bayan. Paul Benedict R. Ramos. Carlos Miguel L. Romualdez. Clara Beatriz M. Rojas. Ralph Kurt A. Sanchez. Jose Mark T. Santos. Arnold Christopher L. Saulong. Pablo Inigo G. Severino. Matthew Jeremy P. Silverio. Johan Daniel S. Chu. Miguel Nicolas C. Venco. At si Inigo Lorenzo O. Zelcita.
Thank you for having me here today and congratulations on graduating. Your school has given you a foundation for what awaits you out there, and hopefully it's also given you a love for learning. School alone, unfortunately, is not enough to prepare you for everything that the world has in store for you out there. And you might get shocked or even frustrated when you cannot find a textbook for reality. Trust me, I'm Singaporean and I have tried. But this journey going forward will be full of surprises, good and bad. And the mindset that you use to navigate life's ups and downs will be what determines your so-called good or bad experiences. So, let me share some tenets that have helped me through countless obstacles with Angkas. So 1, it's important to always set a specific goal for you to get anywhere or achieve something, right? Number 2, life is always about problem solving, always, right? And 3, progress is a better barometer versus fame or, money to judge yourself by, okay? So to just share a little bit more, I started Angkas with 2 goals in mind. 1, to help commuters through traffic. And number 2 was to help uplift the lives of our bikers. And we proved that with the right training and discipline, anyone, even those who were considered tambais before, can now become professionals and productive citizens of our country. And I found that every time we put a goal out there, no matter how crazy we thought it was, we find a way to achieve it. And it's by, it may not be overnight, right? But it's by asking ourselves questions that begin with what and how, right? That we can slowly plot our way towards it. So for example, let's say you care about the environment and want to set a specific goal. Maybe we can pick a goal of having recycling of plastics becoming a way of life for Filipinos by 2025. I hear you saying impossible. Well, let's come back to that later. And this brings me to my second point, which is life is about problem solving. So in my entrepreneurial journey, I've been through hell. It's been very rewarding, but also a pretty crazy ride. In our 4 years of operations, I've been shut down 3 times. And I've even been declared persona non grata by a senator that didn't like a foreigner questioning the status quo. And despite all that, I persevered. We figured that, hey, we have a service loved by millions. It's not enough, right? But how? How can we get on the same page as the regulators? Right? So by understanding their side a little bit better, we eventually realized that we were not enemies. Because all we wanted were the same things, which was the safety for the commuters. And it was still not an easy journey, but eventually we had a pilot approved to help the government study motorcycle taxis for the creation of a law. Right? So now to our example. How do you get Filipinos to recycle plastics? It might seem like a very daunting and lofty goal, to look at, but let's start by breaking it down into sub-goals. Right? So you'll need to educate yourself and others about recycling. And as more people learn about the importance of recycling, they also reduce usage. And as more people start caring about it, companies will start taking notice and make changes as well, right? And this is important to keep asking yourselves, how can I achieve this sub goal, and how do I keep moving forward? Because this is exactly what we did in Angkas back when nobody, and I mean nobody, believed in us or that motorcycle taxis could be a viable mode of public transportation. And this brings me to my last point. I wanted to share an equation by Ray Dalio. Right? So it says pain plus reflection equals progress. Right? So we will all experience pain at some point or another in our lives, no matter how hard we try to run away from it. And since you can't avoid it, use it. Use the pain as an opportunity. Take the time to reflect upon the situation and absorb the lessons it has to teach you. Right? To me, there isn't a black and white for success and failure. And it's only an absolute failure if you fail to learn anything from it or to grow from the experience. Because in every so-called failure, there are lessons to be learned. And that in itself is a success. So let's take romantic relationships, for example. Right? I mean, if you're one of the lucky few to find your better half the first time around, congrats. If not, you're more than likely to go through a few. And I know it feels like nothing's going to be the same again, when you go through a breakup. The pain, the sorrow, the despair, it's endless. But when you get over that initial pain, and you're still feeling it, I know, try to reflect, right? Take a deep breath and reflect. And maybe you'll realize, actually we didn't want the same things. Or we didn't share the same values. Or, the way we communicated with each other was just so different that maybe more understanding could have been used. And it's really with this reflection that you will grow in the knowledge of what you want and what you can give and help you in your next relationship, right? So I use personal growth as a gauge for success to keep pushing myself forward and to overcome obstacles. Life will throw all sorts of curveballs at you to knock you off your feet. And, this brings me to the next point, which is, are any of you here gamers? Right? Have you noticed that in games, when you die, you can't wait to restart and play again? All right? I mean, you quickly learn where, you failed, how to avoid obstacles, and eventually finish the level. Life isn't all that different. Whatever failures you're met with, embrace it. Get excited by it. Take it as an opportunity or a challenge, because only by trying again can you get by and get past the problems and keep progressing levels. So I'm excited for each and every one of you to continue in your journey through life. And I know what I said today may not make any sense to you right now, but I hope that you can keep some of it in the back of your mind somewhere, and maybe one day you'll go, oh, that's what she was talking about, right? So guys, set a goal to see where you're going to get there. Embrace problem solving as a way of life, similar to how you would progress in a video game. And do not let pain go to waste. Use it as an opportunity to reflect and progress. And if you choose to adopt this mindset, I'm hopeful that you will find life's journey a little bit more enjoyable. Thank you.
Peace be with you. It is a bit difficult to say this greeting as I have not met you personally. We may have had our virtual encounters during the year, but it sure is not the way that we have been used to in attending school. But do allow me, a pandemic plantito, to share with you a phrase that resonates in this year of online learning. Blossom where you are planted. Be grounded. Have you discovered yourself especially during this school year? Has the soil in which you are planted helped you to thrive with others? It is normal that as we have been planted in our specific times and places, we have experienced rocky, thorny, and even shallow soil. I have faith that Ateneo has provided good soil for our growth. Deepen your roots. What nourished us this year is how we have responded. Our innovations have allowed us to adapt to the abrupt changes that we have encountered. Our manner of reaching out to people has brought about new ways of how we communicate. Understanding that we are not alone during these times has given us the grace to be able to connect. I have hope that Ateneo has provided essential learnings to us all. Gain perspective. Looking back to the year, have we indeed been able to connect to ourselves, others, and God? In our reflections and in that of others, may we always appreciate where we are in the greater scheme of things. I wish you much joy so that you may continue to persevere in great love that is manifested in good work. This task will not be easy, given the remarkable situation in our world. But let these words continue to guide our growth as we carry on towards the winding road ahead. May we see clearly, love dearly, and follow nearly Jesus in our daily lives. Keep safe, stay healthy, and may God bless you always.
Babasahin po ngayon ng mga tagapayo ng bawat klase ng General Academic Strand ang pangalan ng mga nagtapos. Ihaharap naman po ngayon ni Jose Miguel F. Ramos, tagapayo ng klaseng 12 Carvalho, ang mga nagtapos sa klase.
Ang mga nagsipagtapos sa klase ng 12 Blessed Jogo Carvalho. Arian Therese A. Almazan. Angelo Miguel A. Aquino. Maria Sofia C. Baisa. Miles Nathaniel M. Bea. Andrew Kyle B. Buwan. Renzo Miguel H. Casais. Antoinette Lorraine C. Chay. Isabel Kristen V. Claraval. Tomas Emilio V. Custodio. Angel Nica S. De Leon. Antonio Querubin P. De los Reyes. Rafael Miguel R. Gonzalez. Desiree A. Haniman. Yuan Ira Christopher Lava. Joshua Rafael L. Lazaro. Manuel Javier R. Lazaro. Andre Philip L. Leconcito. Mariel Arian M. Bienado. Amir Romulus Cuario Marayag. Antonio Francisco B. Mauricio III. Tyrese Albert A. Mencias. Michelangelo S. Montano, Brian C. Morales, Alfred Matthew C. Ocampo II, Benjamin Arthur P. Pagdilao, Chloe Alexandra M. Perez, Jose Alonzo L. Pilares, Edward Albert B. Prades II, Nate Brevin A. Ke, Sofia Danielle B. Salta, Kenji SNG Sangalang, Andrea Mariel F. Sarmiento, Jose A.G.Z. Tang, Leana Arian R. Toledo, Andre Jose R. Tondo, Sydney Mariel J. Tongson, Carlos Fidel A. Villanueva, Greco Inigo M. Yatco, at si Kyle Benedict T. Zafra.
Ihaharap naman po ngayon ni Martin Andrew A. Gana, tagapayo ng klaseng 12 Daniel, ang mga nagtapos sa klase.
Ang mga nagsipagtapos sa klase ng 12 St. Antoine Daniel: Carlos Luis H. Awanan, Toby Jonathan B. Bartolome, Daphne Von G. Baswell, Santino Gabriel S. Bautista, Noel Antonio C. Bolinas, Terran Matthew M. Chato, Bryce Wenric L. Collado,
Larco Rafael P. Cortez,
Juan Gabriel G. Dayoan, Maxine Therese C. Daire, Daniel Luis S. Del Rosario, Mark William A. Del Rosario, John Meshach D. Domingo, Robin Ethan P. Encarnacion, Elijah Zacarias N. Eugenio, Edith K. E. Garcia, Janelle M. Ginanao, Charles Miguel M. Litang, Dean Angelo S. Macaraig, Yuan M. Malyari, Isabel Ray A. Mendoza, Estelle Josette A. Nocos, Robert Andrew E. Pacheco, Ronan Rafael P. Padriga, Sean Felipe Emmanuel P. Pascua, Mark Alistair D. Pastrana, Margot Astrid M. Pinpin, Paul Joseph V. Rojas, Rico Angelo V. Samson, Ron Pierre S. Santos, River Jared A. Sikig, Renzo Maurice Songko, Dane Chrysler C. Tabaldo, Ronald Hugh Emmanuel T. Tabora, Carlos Andre B. Tahan, Carlos Angelo M. Tino, at si Andrew L. Uy.
Ihaharap naman po ngayon ni Ricky Riza M. Bilog, tagapayo ng klaseng 12 Den, ang mga nagtapos sa klase.
Ang mga nagsipagtapos sa klase ng 12 St. Paul Den: Quintin Alessandro P. Arches, Francesca Socorro M. Bahar, Quintin Emmanuel C. Calleja, Francine Ann V. Carasig, Elijah A. Concepcion, Rafael Luis G. Dava, Isa Nicole E. de Guzman, Leon Nicolas O. de la Cruz, Dexter John Domingo, Paulo Lorenzo B. Espiritu, Rai Jezreel Maverick F. Garing. Omid P. Halabisas. Rafael Nathan M. Hizon. Diego Enrico V. Jimenez. Rafael Martin D. Jimenez II. Althea M. Honos. Elijah Blue P. Jubilado. Justin Antonio Lagman. Frances Adeline P. Lasala. Pierre Patrick C. Laurio. Elaine Nicole S. Lopez. Audrey R. Medina. Vittorio Jose Mari T. Morales. Ethan Matthew R. Nepomuceno. Nathan Gabriel A. Pastores. Ramon Micael C. Pineda. Aliyah May S. Profeta. Vien Gregory Luis C. Reyes. Don Diego P. Rojo. Rafael Manolo N. Rupisan. Eleazar Aidan C. Santos. Emmanuel L. Silverio. Fernando L. Santamaria Jr. Earl John C. Taniedo. Enrico Rafael D. Tolentino. Kian Bernan C. Valdez. Dwight Ernest M. Vargas. Henry Maria G. Villanueva. At si Rafael Steven E. Yanes.
Ihaharap naman po ngayon ni Luisa M. Kitalig Reyes, tagapayo ng klaseng 12 Evans, ang mga nagtapos ng klase.
Ang mga nagsipagtapos sa klase ng 12 St. Philip Evans. Rafaela Dale A. Abinohar. Aliyah Marie V. Acosta. Ana Carmel N. Amurao. Angela Ann G. Balse. John Carlo A. Baluyot. Jesu Maria R. Barreto. Yusef Gabriel B. Cadano. Alea Jasmine N. Capuno. Mauro Andreas P. Datu III. Adam Maximus I. de Guzman. Nico Michael R. de Guzman. Yuri Joshua C. de la Cruz. Ethan Cyrus A. Demetilio. Jaime Rafael M. Duran. Christian D. Fernandez III. Miguel Alfonso D. Garcia. Francis Philip D. Jose. Noel Gabriel T. Lacson. Jenna Marie A. Lara. Jake Romel D. Madamba. Stephen Edric C. Marcelino. Javier Alberto B. Martinez. Paulo Jesus F. Medina. Rafael Joaquin K. Meneses. Dwayne Marie U. Padilla. Renz Kate Sian P. Padrigao. Gabriel Micah C. Relampagos. Hazel C. San Pedro. Marwin Joshua A. Santos. Gabriel T. Escarlata. Micael Renzo H. Sebastian. Anika G. C. Jason Isaiah T. Tan. Nicolas M. Chongson, Francis Inigo B. Torres, Nicolo Martin C. Torres, A.G. C. Umimuri, Paul Daniel C. Uy, at si John James Dylan D. Yap.
Ihaharap naman po ngayon ni Roman Patrick U. De Villa, tagapayan ng klase 12 Geronimo, ang mga nagtapos sa klase.
Ang mga nagsipagtapos sa klase ng 12 St. Francesco de Geronimo. Katrina Vera M. Antonio, Joaquin Alfonso V. Arcilia, Trina Antoinette B. Atienza, Miguel D. Austria, Joaquin Vito Bacunawa, Luis Antonio Barredo, Tara O. Borlain, Joaquin Antonio Y. Cabangon, Cliff D. Kalinawan, Neil Eiler Israel D. Servo, Jesus Carmelo C. Coloma, Marcus Rixer S. de Guzman, Natasha Micaela F. de los Santos, Joseph Mark Ruben D. Dizon, Marcus Malcolm Rochio A. Duran, Martin Lorenzo M. D. Liaco, Joaquin Miguel D. Fariñas, Mark Ryan S. Fortuno, Lance Inigo A. Llamas, Andy Joshua C. Lorenzo, Maxine Denise Q. Mababang Loob, Maria Francesca T. Manalo, Rie Jenica F. Maningas, Amil Q. Pasino Jr., Leandro Alejandro M. Padaen, Jose Paulo T. Policarpi, Marco Rafael Q. Quilino, John Joseph P. Ranches, Jaime Angelo Q. Sale, Kevin Raymond K. Sales, Rafael Casey D. Semanya, Alexander Anthony M. Shao, Lance Ferdinand D. Tan, Jose Joaquin Gabriel S. Tanchanco, Kendrix Manuel M. Tasara, Jose Antonio R. Teodoro, Jose Gabriel S. Tuanyo, Maria Celina V. Vergere, at si Rainier Gerald S. Villan.
Ihaharap naman po ngayon ni Ross Joshua Policarpio, tagapayan ng klaseng 12 Gonzales, ang mga nagtapos sa klase.
Ang mga nagsipagtapos sa klase ng 12 St. Roque Gonzales de Santa Cruz. Juan Diego T. Abastillas, Kenneth Christian L. Amores, Julian Carmelo T. Balbas, Lyle Joseph N. Baldove, Zane Miguel C. Bautista, Carl Matthew L. Belen, Mathaya Benjamin T. Bername, Roberto Augusto L. Blanco, Lorenzo Amador A. Buenaceda, Adam Lorenzo S. Buenaventura, Luis Gabriel R. Carlos, Nicholas Carlo O. Chavez, Juan Fernando L. Contreras III, Ira Josephine M. Cruz, Mariah Yvette G. Huwad, Aaron Kyle R. Daug, Johanna Marie E. De La Cruz, Sam Andre B. Doragos, Josh Virgil T. Eduarte, Marco Inigo Domingo F. Fragada, Micaela Garces, Maria Monica K. Ignacio, Sofia Marie P. Jimenez, Mateo Ruiz B. Lavinia, Lance M. Lirio, Roberto D. Maliwat Jr., Kiza Therese N. Martinez, Joshua M. Medina, Juan Paulo R. Sioso, Juan Marco S. Santa Maria, Kevin Clark Y. Texon, Audrey Beatriz A. Tirol, Maria Katrina M. Valenton, Joseph Marty S. Velasco, at si Joshua Miguel D. Venturina.
Congratulations to the graduating Ateneo Senior High class, and good afternoon, everyone. In my life, I've seen so many changes that have happened. The way of life and opinions change. For example, when I was much younger, we didn't have a telephone. And when we did have one installed, we'd have to share the line with another house. And if you were not kind and thoughtful, you'd end up fighting with each other over that single line. Who dominates it and who humbly submits. We did not have a television set. We would go over to a neighbor's house and watch or just sleep early. I remember this period in my life that I did not know what my grade school classmates were talking about. So if we didn't have kind neighbors, we wouldn't have had glimpses of those television shows. When we didn't have cell phones yet, how did we make appointments? Or how did we meet for appointments? Like what time and where? I guess we had more time before. And because we did, we were most patient. We had to stand in the corner shade or linger near the entrance of a store or whatever landmark. We just waited patiently. And because we waited, we understood the situation and we had more time to think. I didn't have a car then. The person I was meeting wouldn't have one either. Or if he did, then I knew exactly where I should stand or where I would be picked up. Today, it is very different. And there's so many nuances of differences. Yesterday, we texted, but today we messaged. Yesterday, we called on our cellular phone line. Now we call via Viber or Messenger. Before, eating too much eggs was bad. Now, 1 egg a day is okay. Before, fats were bad. Now, it is not that much of a culprit as sugar is. After free TV was paid TV, of course, cable, but now it is more of Netflix. Before it was MTV. Now everything is on YouTube, Spotify, or iTunes. Before, vinyls gave way to cassettes, which gave way to CDs, and now we want vinyls back. We had Betamax tapes, VHS tapes, CVDs, DVDs, and Blu-rays, and now, wala na. I can go on and on listing what has changed, what was there before, and now gone. But there are certain things that remain and will be appreciated forever. Number one on my list is kindness. When you are kind, you get a better understanding of why people act the way they do. You develop a larger sense of awareness, understanding, patience, and compassion. Like my kind neighbors, my kind party line, my professional co-workers who come on time and who are cheerful. When you are kind, the act of giving as a service to your community, your family, and your country becomes deeply ingrained and automatic. Kindness to country is about contributing what is best for your community. Being kind is not about being subservient to another country's aggression. No way. Being kind is serving your community's interest all the time. Because you are kind and giving, you do not give in to greed. You only take what you need. It is great to save up, but do take only what you can use. Lahat ng sobra nagiging basura. Yung sobrang binili mong chips, kumukunat dahil nagsawa ka. Yung santambak na tsokolate, delata at kung ano-ano pang tinatago ng nanay o lola nyo, nag-expire at di na makakain. Yung mga gamit na for special occasion lang, na naka-hoard at pinagkatago-tago, patay na kayo, hindi nyo na nagamit. Just remember, lahat ng sobra nagiging basura. You could have shared them. And lastly, kindness is a manifestation of love. If you love your family, if you love your country, and if you love yourself, please be kind. Everything changes, but kindness should stay forever. Congratulations to the graduates. Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Ryan Kevia po.
Babasahin po ngayon ng mga tagapayo ng bawat klase ng Humanities and Social Sciences Strand ang pangalan ng mga nagtapos. Ihaharap po ngayon ni Amber M. Howe, tagapayo ng klaseng 12 Grodetsky, ang mga nagtapos sa klase.
Ang mga nagsipagtapos sa klase ng 12 St. Melchior Grodetsky, S.J. Isabella Maria E. Abelardo. Angelo Gabriel C. Abes. Daniel John R. Aguilar. Yuan Gabriel M. Alodaga. Aaron Phoenix F. Antonio. Stefan Matthew A. Balane. Michael Sebastian P. Bermas. Jin Lyod M. Bulatao. Adrian Justin W. Cabrera. Rebene Joshua C. Carrera. Tatiana Alexis Carido. Crystal Ann M. Kasubu. Benjamin Kyle L. Competente. Yani Jaden H. Cordova. Alessandra Mayumi S. Crisostomo. Shane Vincent F. Dumindin. Isabella Marie A. Evio. Alejandro Javier M. Elgar. Ernest Michael M. Emnas. Calvin Emmanuel A. Flores. Diego Benjamin A. Gepti. Anton Joaquin S. Hernandez. Nisha Isabel C. Quintanon. Gianna A. Lim. Alfonso Miguel N. Lunasco. Amos R. Magsumbon. Aidan Garrick F. Mencenares. Sean Sigmund Newell E. Pastor. Cesar Emilio C. Quinto. Aries Reggie May G. Ramos. Clark Rad Alfred A. Reyes. Ryan Miguel D. Rivera. Franco Gabriel A. Ruiz. Caitlin Elise C. Salonga. Elijah Gabriel R. Solomon. Krisha Elise N. Te. Alec Julian A. Templo Nuevo. Don Myron B. Whitaker. At si Jamie Patrice G. Zabala.
Ihaharap naman po ngayon ni Julie Pearl D. Borja, tagapayo ng klaseng 12 Holland, ang mga nagtapos sa klase.
Ang mga nagsipagtapos sa klase ng 12 Blessed Thomas Holland. Julia Maxine Isabel G. Almazan. Edge B. Angeles. Amelia Elizabeth L. Antique. Maria Isabella Laura G. Aquino. Antonio Luis A. Banzon. Naya Juliana Layel S. Bartolome. Antonio Carlos G. Cabangon. Nicola Marie A. Chang. Rodrigo T. Corbo IV. Isabella Dancel P. Cruz. Isaiah Raymond G. Cruz. Franz Jerome L. Damasco. Carlo G. Dano. Roel Ryan Angelo Maglaya K. de Guzman. Phoebe Isabel O. De Leon. Andrea Luis V. Diamante. Adriel Carlos P. Exconde. Ruben Gabe A. Gonzalez. Ella Julian N. Greñas. Leandro A. Guarino. Quaid Augustin A. Ilagan. Mika Emmanuel N. Isidro. Samantha Mary Claus. Emilio Gabriel B. Lopez. Kayla Kristen S. Manlapas. Frederick Philip O. Mayuga. Sebastian C. Menson. Gabriel Q. Ordonez. Crete Morten M. Padilla. Kenito Joaquim V. Pelayo. Eduardo J. Pitero III. Justin Zachary E. Quinto. Pio Francisco B. Ramirez. B.R. Alej John F. Reposar. Maria Isabel Y. Roque. Ralph Adrian B. Serafica. Samantha Kimberly K. C. Rafael H. Tamayo. Sean Matthew G. Tino. Richard Nicholas B. T. At si Julian Adeline A. Vega.
Ihaharap naman po ngayon ni Rainmar Henry C. Oxina, tagapayo ng klaseng 12 Tibet, ang mga nagtapos sa klase.
Ang mga nagsipagtapos sa klase ng 12 Blessed Petros Quibe Kasui, Paulo Inigo N. Acevedo, Juan Delfin P. Agustin, Oliver Wendell C. Amazona, Clarice Althea S. Bagoyo, Nathan Francis C. Baler, Ivan Luis J. Barantes, Napia Faye B. Begtang, Carlino Luis M. Kahayon, Najib Ishmael A. Candao, Gabriel Angelo P. Cariaga, Jaime Miguel L. Castro, Hans Matthew M. Clemente, Renee Patricia Amy L. Dalumpines, Rian Gareth B. De Leon, Maria Camila D. Del Rosario, Rafael Sancho R. Eliazar, Nico Lorenzo C. Escalona, Francis S. Estrella, Yana Isabel P. Lirios, Marcos Miguel D. Manrique, Jacob Francis P. Meimban, Michelle D. Montanier, Marjorie G. Ordonez, Samantha Francine L. Padilla, Jericho N. Paglinawan Jr., Pietro Miguel S. Pasion, Howard Ray G. Pelobelio, James Patrick A. Ramota, Jeremiah Jose E. Remolio, Arabella M. Resado, Ros R. Rodriguez, Julian Miguel C. San Juan, Angela Mariel M. Santos, Jody Gail A. Sarmiento, Piolo Miguel A. Tomas, Miguel Gabriel E. Valentino, Sydney Caitlin S. Villamin, at si Megan Elisa C. Yu.
Ihaharap naman po ngayon ni Viola Marie A. Nunez, tagapayo ng klaseng 12 Mickey, ang mga nagtapos sa klase.
Ang mga nagsipagtapos sa klase ng 12 St. Paulo's Mickey, Manuel Jedi L. Amante, Lorenzo Aragorn D. Arellano, Jose Lorenzo S. Arroyo, Charles Justin M. Avestruz, Luke Stephen A. Bato, Bea Bianca C. Bautista, Juan Carlos O. Bautista, Duke Xander M. Campilan, Therese L. Candelaria, Anya Isabel E. Tison, Andre R. Di Maculacan, Gabriel P. Dotado, Lyle Tristan E. Dumo, Randall Christian R. Fernandez, Luis Ricardo I. Francisco, Mary Rain Gabriel B. Ligon, Luis Enrico K. Morales, Justin Riley T. Nangel, John Michael C. Ocampo, Romel Miquel M. Oquendo, Maria Angela A. Padilla, Joseph Andrew A. Panagiton, Princess Hazel B. Talipel, Anahata Josel C. Perez, Juan Antonio U. Ramos, Joaquin Manuel G. Reyes, Jerome Michael M. Rodriguez, Janelle S. Saavedra, Jean Lovell T. Sanares, Fides Maria Rosario J. Sebastian, John Paul C. Simeon, Jose Joaquin P. Solis, Julian Martin R. Taizon, Jose Antonio V. Torres, Josh Christian A. Velilla, at si Ethan Albert B. Villanueva.
Hello everyone! Kamusta kayong lahat? My name is Ato Maraulio. I am a journalist and a former student of our beloved Ateneo. And this is a corner of my tiny apartment. Welcome. So it is my great honor to address all of you today. It would have been nice to see everyone in person, but of course these are extraordinary times, and that makes you an extraordinary batch as well. I can't imagine what it must have been like to keep learning in the middle of a pandemic. I could barely bring myself to sweep the floor or even shower every day, especially on the bad days. So you can be extra proud of your accomplishment, and I really mean that. So it's been a difficult year for all of us, and the challenges are still there. So what can I share with you during this important occasion? Well, perhaps three things. First, be kind to others. Second, be kind to yourselves. And third, deepen your love for our country and for the planet. Being kind to others has become important now more than ever, when so many people are facing challenges in their lives. Many of our fellow Filipinos are struggling to provide for their families. Others are going hungry, and some young people, such as yourselves, have been forced to drop out of school. There are those who have gotten sick and have lost loved ones. It is during these times that we must show the true meaning of what it is to be a man for others, not just for our friends, acquaintances, but even strangers. A little help, compassion, and understanding can go a long way. On the other hand, I also want to remind you to be kind to yourselves. This crisis has taken a heavy toll on our emotional and mental health. It's okay to be sad, to be lazy, to be despondent from time to time. Don't ever be ashamed to tell your friends or family if you think you need their help. This is not a sign of weakness, but of strength, because all of us are vulnerable. Do what you can to take care of your mental health. Eat well, unwind, exercise, find a creative outlet, reach out to others, whatever. Knowing how to take care of your emotional and mental well-being will also serve you well in the future. And finally, deepen your love for our country and for the planet. I know that seems like a lot of love for some very big things, but if there's anything that will ground you and help you make important decisions later in life, it's finding what's truly meaningful to you beyond personal success. Your country needs you now more than ever because there are still a lot of problems that needs fixing. We cannot progress as a nation if we leave the most disadvantaged people behind. The planet needs you because the very survival of our species is at stake. The climate crisis is real, and its effects are already being felt not just in the Philippines, but all over the world. The Philippines will suffer the worst effects of climate change, and it is up to us to prepare for what is coming our way and to make sure that things don't get any worse for future generations. young people all around the world have proven that their voice is powerful and you can make big changes to the way we do things. You guys have an incredible gift. You have almost unlimited energy, abundance of time, and incorrigible optimism. The world is changing fast, and before you know it, many of you will be in leadership positions as well. Maybe some of you already are in your respective circles and communities. On your graduation, I hope that you find the passion to reach for the stars, but keep your feet firmly on the ground. Congratulations to Ateneo Senior High School Batch 2020. Mabuhay kayo and make us proud.
Babasahin po ngayon ng mga tagapayo ng bawat klase ng Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics Strand ang pangalan ng mga nagtapos. Ihaharap po ngayon ni Tyron Judes D. Kasumpang, tagapayo ng klaseng 12 Navarro, ang mga nagtapos sa klase.
Ang mga nagsipagtapos sa klase ng 12 Blessed Pietro Paulo Navarro. Aldon Gabriel B. Acenas, Alec Benedict D. Abdo, Adam Xavier E. Atencio, Alexandre Joseph D. Balaga, Alexander Vinson S. Basilio, Julia James P. Berin, Timothy Luke A. Bernal, Alyssa F. Blas, Aaron John G. Cacas, Kobe D. Carlos, Emil Gabriel C. Carion, Carlos Joaquin R. Castaneda, Erica Samuel L. Chan, Jasper Garrett A. Chua, Alonzo Rafael M. Cruz, Eleazar Dwight Jairus A. Cruz, Yvonne Nicolo C. David, Brian Dominic C. De La Cruz, Gerard Angelo M. Donato, Aaron Joseph Steve W. D. II, Bettina Sabine G. Flaminiano, Alyssa Denise J. Fontanilla, Mikhail Ezra L. Giao, Andrews Isaac F. Javier, Romina Francesca A. Lataba, Rafael Justin T. Lim, Sofia E. Mapagu, Alfredo Kyle G. Navarro III, Kyle Benedict I. Kiwa, Rain Jasmine P. Reyes, Arian Rain P. Rojas, Aljon L. Santos, Samantha Anika E. Sai, Miguel Carlos F. Sevilla, Abhishek Kumar R. Singh, Elmer Lewis O. Trinidad, Cassie Jules U. Uigongo, Khalil Alexander B. Valladolid, at si Johan Dominic A. Villarta.
Ihaharap naman po ni Ricardo M. Crisostomo, tagapayo ng klaseng 12 Ogilvy, ang mga nagtapos sa klase.
Ang mga nagsipagtapos sa klase ng 12 St. John Ogilvy. Gwen Laila U. Abanyo, Sean Rafael S. Abelia, Inigo Miguel N. Almeda. Angelo Ray R. Anunciacion. Seth Gabriel M. Bumagat. Armand Gabriel T. Calleja. Fiona Graciela T. Capio. Victor Leon D. David. Martha C. De Guzman. Antonio Pocholo V. Di Maandal. Daniel M. Gatmaitan. Miguel Andre C. Jimena. Kate Isabella S. Go. Anton N. Goshengfiao. Antonio Luis P. Gidote. Andrew Justin C. Idkibal. Charlize Gabriel R. Justo. Micaela S. Lacau. Avram Godofredo C. Liban IV. Russell Alfred N. Lim. Gabriel S. Limbaga. Wadik P. Makapintal. Francine Alicia C. Manzana. Angelo Gabriel C. Mendoza. Alexandria Faye Yu Ong. Dominic Rodrigo C. Pagulayan. Antonio Carlos Yu Punzalan. Matt Girvon F. Reyes. Aaron Binson G. Santos. Vincent Marcel C. Santos. Antonio Oliver P. Tapia. Ryan Vincent S. Tayag. Benjamin Maria B. Tolosa III. Vittorio Angelo P. Berzosa. Sasha Aljay C. Villanueva. Maya Lisandra M. Wang. At si Sebastian C. Yungke.
Ihaharap naman po ni Remy Lynn S. Magbiray, tagapayo ng klaseng 12 Old Corn, ang mga nagtapos sa klase.
Ang mga nagsipagtapos sa klase ng 12 Blessed Edward Oldcorn. Carl Dominic V. Aguilar. Roy Antonio B. Agustin. Carlos Marco A. Aleta. Marcus Jean R. Ancheta. Beatriz Nicole L. Badua. Lorene Juliana H. Bonaobra. Kirsten Dominic S. Chan. Ron Levy D. Cruz. Ashley Cariza N. Kua. Rafael Juan S. De Guzman. Erela Christy C. Deloria. Sir Patrick E. Diharme. Raul Joshua M. Estrella. Ramon D. Galias Jr. Rafael Gabriel V. Gonzalez. Frankie Ephraim C. Hernandez. Anthony James A. Howe. Charles Joseph Vincent C. Lopez. Christopher Ken A. Manglalan. Bien Sebastian T. Medel. Shannon Patrick A. Mendoza. Jan Aidan Vincent M. Nang. Brian Xavier S. Owasan, Rafael E. Pakulan, Chris Angelo M. Rayos, Inma Micaela L. Riquez, Nina Beatriz V. Rivera, Dane Ansel S. Rodiel, Pedro Luis J. Salongsogan, Carl Robin G. Saluta, Lance Dominic B. Santuyo, Nina Patricia M. Sapitula, John Rich Colbert L. Siawa, Angela Beatriz D. Soriano, Rafael Emmanuel H. Tanwatco, Rainier Irvin D. Tayat, Angela P. Villasanta, at C. Rich Randall K. Villegas.
Ihaharap naman po ni Jerlita O. Shanda, tagapayan ng klaseng 12 Pantalya, ang mga nagtapos sa klase.
Ang mga nagsipagtapos sa klase ng 12 Blessed John Pantalya. Ethel Joy M. Abareta, Nino Miguel L. Amado, Elvin Joseph B. Anang, Gea B. Aranas, DeAngelo Ryan S. Astorga, Nicholas McWayne G. Aipa, Jasmine K. G. Blancia, Eleazar Jedrick R. Canzon, Kiana Alika T. Co, D'Arthony John F. Cruz, Dio Vincenzo F. Cruz, Micaela Marie Sian P. Diang, David D. Dizon, Nathan S. D. Juan Paulo L. Isma, Anthony Gabriel A. Ela, Paulo Luis M. Eleazar, Paul Daniel E. Fernandez, Maria Isabel Virgilia A. Gobio, Eldridge Vincent M. Hobilia, Paul Anthony D. Legaspi, Derek Kyler P. Mendoza, Mikel Cedric M. Mendito, Kian Michael P. Mercado, Mickey D. Oba, Kelji Andrew M. Ong, Paulo Gabriel N. Ong, Daniel Aucho B. Padrigo, RJ V. Quesumbing, Diego Antonio T. Ramos, Jose Gabriel A. Salvador, Josh Patrick C. Santiago, Andrea Nicole G. Senson, Daniel Inigo M. Soriano, Raisa Stephanie W. C. Onilov Troy C. Tabuhara, Neil Dominic V. Torres, Naya Isabel E. Umbay, Francis Florentino T. Yambao, at si Nicolo Joaquin S. Zialcita.
Ihaharap naman po ngayon ni Joanna Rose O. De La Paz, tagapayan ng klaseng 12 Pro, ang mga nagtapos sa klase.
Mga nagsipagtapos sa klase ng 12 Blessed Miguel Agustin Pro Juarez, Miguel Luis Antonio A. Atienza, Mark Daniel S. Balaquio, Emmanuel N. Beltran II, Dominic Carl G. Cacho, Elizabeth Ann N. Carlos, Darlene Stephanie L. Chua, Michael Angelo Y. Conchada, Miguel Jose G. Dayon, Marion Abigail S. De Leon, Miguel Kirkson B. Fajardo, Emmanuel Jacob D. Felipe, Gwyneth Yvonne R. Zhao, Carl Cedric M. King, Naito Komazaki, Raymond Lawrence C. Lamzon, Maverick Jordan L. Lee, Karen Bryn C. Lopez Go, Mateo Angelo G. Lopez, Ernest Adrian J. Makapugay, Janet Charisse C. Mamau, Miguel Frederick R. Martinez, Miguel Rafael R. Melitado, Eugene Paulo C. Nuguit, Ethan Nicholas M. Oliveros, Julia Marie M. Ong O, Matthew Roy G. Oraa, Fernan Joseph C. Pelago, Gabriel Ayan Perez, Michael Gabriel Q. Pile, Ethan Audric B. Rebosa, Ethan Josiah T. Sabakan, Gabriel A. Sirilan, Audrey Dominic O. Soto, Enrico Lucio A. Suplico, Miguel Alvaro S. Tamase, Matthew Andrew S. Turalba, Emmanuel Frodo M. Uranza, at John Resty C. Vejerano.
Ihaharap naman po ni Crisette B. Remigio, tagapayo ng klaseng 12 Sullivan, ang mga nagtapos sa klase.
Ang mga nagsipagtapos sa klase ng 12 Blessed John Sullivan: Yuki Patricia A. Abion, Ferzo Constantine Miguel P. Adriatico, Gerard Albert Jr. S. Antonio, Gerard Micael C. Argonza, Al Vincent E. Bumediano, Luke Rafael A. Buban, Jose Manuel L. Cañones, Dory Joy J. Cocal, Manuel P. III de los Santos, Lorenzo Miguel D. De Vega, Gabriel Ethan M. Defante, Gianna Sabine N. Divino, Nina Veronica E. Doctor, Jerice Glay G. Estavillo, Gabriel G. Guerrero, Luis Antonio D. Henato, Hazel Ann T. Guevara, Sabine Alexa R. Ginto, Gian Rafael D. Hombre, Gabriel Rian G. Ison, Alia Shane V. Watco, Iron Marl D. Junco, Joshua Eric C. Lau, Luis Nathan C. Luna, Marion Rafael P. Magturo, Gonzalo Clemente B. Mendoza, Joaquim Francis C. Montinola, Angelo Mateo D. Moreno, Mark Christopher D. Moya, Nathan Sir Francis C. Navarro, Mark Russell S. Ocampo, Gabriel Inigo G. Olalia, Marcelo Aurelio E. Perez, Marco Enrique V. Pile, Sofia Therese S. Saginsin, Frank Rosel B. Septim, Julian Jacob E. Pino, Luis Gregorio M. Valencia, Maria Isabel Lourdes A. Vera, at si Bien Vincent Gio J. Viloria.
Ihaharap naman po ni Mardoqueo V. Cristino, tagapayo ng 12 Walpole, ang mga nagtapos sa klase.
Ang mga nagsipagtapos sa klase ng 12 St. Henry Walpole: Rafael Shim R. Acuña, Joseph Ethan D. Alcantara, Alisa May L. Alisuwag, Joaquin Felipe R. Almoro, Jovic Beaver E. Armada, Jaime Gabriel B. Arwego, Juancho Rodolfo P. Brobio, John Martin V. Bulaon, Joshi Matthew R. Kabutahe, Sean Marco B. Campanilla, John Michael C. Catalunya, Jerry Gwen S. Conde II, Joshua Rafael S. Cruz, Leandro V. Darhuan, Stephanie May M. De Jesus, Justin Alexander D. De La Peña, Joaquin Antonio B. Dunca, Jose Maria F. Fernandez, Joaquin Lorenzo V. Hermar, Raiza M. Junio, Giancarlo P. Lazaro, Alfredo Zuz Matthew R. Mape, Christian Shalito E. Onza, El Feriz E. Palma, Sofia May B. Panambo, Jo Maricael C. Plantilla, Jose Paulo P. Puruganan, Juan Carlos T. Kilala, Jose Rafael G. Rodriguez, Beyan Paula R. Salvanera, Jeriel Neo A. Samson, Don Ferdinand G. Santiago, Clara Jasmine C. Talabong, Geo Paulo M. Tambalo, Jerica Bien C. Tandingan, Jeremy Russell P. Tin, James Maximus F. Torres, Joshua A. Visitacion, at si Nicolette Bernice B. Zoleta.
Ihaharap naman po ni Orfelino Panotes Jr., tagapayo ng klaseng 12 Xavier, ang mga nagtapos sa klase.
Ang mga nagsipagtapos sa klase ng 12 St. Francisco Javier. Felicia Iana C. Abari. Jose Mari A. Agdipa. Rihanna Rose D. Alonsagay. John Ronald P. Balmeo. Gabriel Antonio C. Bautista. Simon Charles B. Calpito. Nicola Jade R. Caparas. Joaquin Paulo V. De la Cruz. Jose Rafael N. Diamante. Joaquin Luis Alfonso L. Enriquez. Kenneth D. Gonzalez. Jacob Joseph P. Gualberto. Gian Irvin O. Guzman. Adrian Vince M. Ignacio. Keon Philip G. Lim. June Emil M. Liwag. Michael P. Lopez II. Pamela V. Manuel. Nathaniel Joseph Mercado. Clarence James G. Monteroso. Carl Marx Romel C. Ochoada. Erwin Lorenzo C. Olegario. Julian Miguel T. Ortega. Lorenzo R. Pasya. Kian Miguel F. Pajaro. Malaya Isabela E. Kiambao. Jose Joaquin R. Riego de Dios. Lord Wally D. Rivas. Fernando A. Rojas. Jose Miguel A. Salvador. Cody B. Senga. Renzo Braille D. Sontiliano. Eliza L. Tabaquero. Azriel Eunice C. Teves. Charles Emmanuel P. Tikbaen. Ana Katrina Y. Chu. John Carlo S. Velonza. At si Jensen Grace D. Zafra.
First of all, congratulations to each and every one of you. In this special day, on your graduation, you should be both proud and grateful. Proud of all the things that you've accomplished through your hard work and talent and effort. But at the same time, grateful for all the things and everyone who helped you along the way. No one can deny that these are extraordinary times, and your senior high school experience is truly extraordinary in a literal sense. And you can say that you've gone through something that none of us have gone through. And for that, you'll be special and remarkable. Through all these experiences, you've learned so much about the world around you, about each other, and most importantly, about yourself. You've learned firsthand how to deal with change and to overcome challenges and become a more mature person in the process. You've learned how to make the most out of any situation and become a more resourceful person. You've learned to be kind and mindful of everyone you meet and touch because they too are going through something. You found ways to be with your friends and loved ones, even when you're physically apart. To console them in times of loss and sadness. And to celebrate the victories and accomplishments, whether big or small. As you look back at these moments, at these experiences, I hope that you recognize that they are all holy, whether they are of joy or despair or everything in between. For there is the holy in all things and in everyone we meet. I hope as you go through the next part of your journey, you will continue to recognize this and embrace this every day in all you do and in everyone you touch. And I can truly say that you, out of all people, are most equipped to help us build and imagine this new world we're stepping into. I, for one, am looking forward to seeing you continue to grow and blossom. And your parents, teachers, this whole community are with you to support you and guide you along the way. Congratulations again, Ateneo Senior High Batch 2021. I look forward to the time when our paths would cross, be it virtually, hopefully in person next time.
Mula sa ating mga tahanan, ating palakpakan at kilalanin ang mga nagtapos sa araw na ito.
My warmest congratulations to the Ateneo de Manila Senior High Class of 2021. Though your ceremony is sadly virtual again this year, be assured that the joy and pride that we in the university community feel for you at this milestone event is very real. We are especially pleased by the resilience and strength that you exhibited throughout this challenging year. I am sure that all of you, without exception, have suffered heartache and loss during the past year. You may also have experienced a whole range of negative emotions at varying moments: fear, anger, resentment, frustration, loneliness, despair. The fact that you are here now celebrating your graduation is a testament to the strength of your spirit and your capacity for self-determination. It is also a testament to the love and care which your family, teachers, friends, and classmates have for you, and which enclosed and protected you all throughout. Despite the difficulty and suffering brought about by the pandemic, however, the past year also abounded with stories of hope and inspiration. From the designers and makers who use their skills to produce PPEs for the frontliners, to the phenomenon of community pantries which allowed people from all walks of life to share what they have with those who have less. From our own IT professionals who made the Ateneo Blue Cloud possible, to the classmate or colleague who helped us figure out the intricacies of our classroom and meeting apps, there was always someone or something to be thankful for even at the darkest of times. For St. Ignatius, whose conversion 500 years ago we commemorate this year, gratitude is foundational to a life that is well-lived, joyful, and connected to the world and to others. Gratitude opens our hearts to love and hope. It is gratitude which inspires acts of generosity and charity. And gratitude begins with the awareness that God is present in everyone, every place, every moment, everything. When we acknowledge this, when we feel it in our heart of hearts, even the most ordinary objects and actions become occasions for gratitude. An ice-cold glass of water during the heat of the day, the next day delivery of an item just purchased, butterflies in a garden full of flowers. Today, I send you forth from the senior high school to commence the next phase of your young lives with a prayer that you will continue to cultivate this awareness of God's loving presence all around us and the gratitude that flows forth from it. For with hearts full of gratitude and love, we are certain that you will overcome all the challenges that will come your way, just as you did during this past year, and will make a positive and lasting impact on all the lives that you touch. Ad Maiorem Dei Gloriam. Congratulations once again to each one of you.
Itatalaga po ngayon ang mga bagong nagtapos sa asosasyon ng alumni ng Ateneo. Pamumunuan ng kagalang-galang na si Ginoong Jason Cabrera, miyembro ng lupon ng tagapangasiwa ng asosasyon ng alumni ng Ateneo, ang pagtatalaga.
Good day to everyone. Before I administer the alumni oath, I'd like to take this opportunity to congratulate everybody as you graduate from the Ateneo Senior High School. For some of you, I've known you since prep, and I'm so proud to see you all grown up to be the young men that you are today. I wish you all the best and all the luck in your future endeavors. And I encourage you to join and be part of the global community of Ateneo alumni. So please do sign up for the Ateneo Alumni Association. Check out our website and our FB page for more details. Thank you. Sa mga nagtatapos, itaas ang inyong kanang kamay at sumunod sa panunumpa. Sa araw na ito ng aming pagtatapos, sa piling ng aming mga magulang, kamag-anak at mga kaibigan, sa piling ng aming mga kamag-aral, guro at tagapangasiwa ng pamantasan, sa piling ng mga alumni at bilang alumni ng Ateneo na nakatalagang maging lux in domino, liwanag sa Panginoon. Sumusumpa kaming maging tao para sa kapwa at hayaang mangningning ang aming liwanag sa lahat. Sumusumpa kaming maglingkod sa aming kapwa, lalo na sa mga nagdarahop ang katawan at kaluluwa. Sumusumpa kami na maging bukas palad sa mga handog ng isip at katawan na dulot ng Diyos sa amin. Sa pagmamahal ng aming pamilya, kapwa-tao, bayan, at ng aming Diyos Panginoon, turuan mo kaming maging bukas palad. Ibaba ang inyong mga kamay, maligayang bati sa inyong lahat.
My dear graduates of the Ateneo de Manila Senior High School, greetings from the city of Rome. It gives me great pleasure to join you in this online graduation, to share with your joy and to address you on this occasion. My first word to you is congratulations to each one of you, most especially for reaching these milestones, the end of a major leg of your journey and the start of a new one. Congratulations as well to those who accompanied you, to your parents, your families, to the teachers and staff and administrators of the Ateneo, and finally, to your classmates and friends. This is a moment of gratitude, of recognizing that all good things in life are received from above and with help and guidance from many others. I am told that the theme of this year's graduation is finding God in all things, something to desire and beg for during this global pandemic. It is a time of much suffering in the world, much pain in many families, much more poverty and hunger for countless others who have lost their means of livelihood, much questioning about the meaning of life. And for many young people like you, confusion has also come with numbness, skepticism, and negativity. At times like this, it's not easy to find God. But let me propose a way through. This year, the Jesuits and all partners in missions are celebrating a special anniversary. 500 years ago, a young 30-year-old bachelor named Inigo of Loyola was a soldier in the Battle of Pamplona in Spain. There he was seriously wounded, with an injury that triggered a series of events that eventually led to the founding of the Society of Jesus. Ignatius and his group of friends found meaning in their life when they met the one who alone could have given the kind of hope and peace that will not fade, Jesus the Lord, the God-man who shed his godness and entered into the complete experience of humanity. He became like us in everything but sin. He took on life joys and pains, its hopes and fears, He accepted death himself in order to offer humankind a new kind of life. Ignatius and his first Jesuit companions have passed on the flame that began with that injury in Pamplona to generation after generation of missionaries. Then, over a century ago, the Jesuits founded this institution, the Ateneo de Manila, which today launches you into a new adventure. As you move beyond senior high school, your Jesuit education invites you to do as Ignatius did, and to look beyond injury and beyond the wilderness of this world, ravaged by a virus, torn by inequalities and prejudice, broken by the greedy and the angry. I am told that the Ateneo symbol is the blue eagle. The eagle has among the most powerful eyes in the animal kingdom, able to look far ahead and to penetrate with depth. So be the eagles that you are called to be, and use your eyes to look hard. Only by doing so can you really begin finding God in all things. The theme of the 500th anniversary of that injury at the Battle of Pamplona is to see all things new in Christ. It fits very well with your theme. Indeed, by seeing as Christ sees, you can begin to truly find God in all things. Today, as you begin a new life, I invite you to look intensely and see three things in particular. First, I invite you to look intensely to recognize the more important things of life. Pope Francis, in his address to the United Nations last September, said, "The pandemic calls us to seize this time of trial as a time to choose what matters, to separate what is necessary from what is not." Today, I invite you to see among the most important things in life are people, those in your families, your friends, your communities, those who have touched your life and made a mark on it, the many you have come to know and the many more you will meet. But you must also open your eyes to the many others you do not know and those who might never get to meet, those who live different and think differently. And in a special way, if you look with the eyes of Jesus, you will find that among the most important people are those who have less, those who suffer more, those who are the victim of injustice and inequality, of violence and war, of hunger and homelessness. If you look hard with eagle eyes, you will find God in them, and you will value them and give them your care, your love, your service. Second, I invite each one of you to look intensely at your own unique history. Each one is special. Each one is unique. Each one has a mission that is yours and yours alone. Ignatius of Loyola is your inspiration. He who took time to ponder, to try to discover his mission and to embrace in which all his heart. He looked and his wonderness of his humanity, his history, his gifts, the movement of his spirit, and acknowledging his vocation, he responded with generosity and self-sacrifice. Some of you will be doctors or nurses. Some will be teachers. Some will be involved in business. Some will be artists. Some will be leaders. Some might be even Jesuits. But whatever your mission is, the Magis calls you to always give it your best. And even if you shall fail, every now and then, to always rise again and never give up. Third, and last, I invite you to look intensely with eagle eyes into an unknown future. I invite you to look at possibilities and to be audacious, to begin to imagine what a new world might look like after the pandemic. I invite you to see the possibility of a world where the dignity of every human person is respected, where the beauty of creation is appreciated and preserved, where nations and peoples can live together and dialogue and reach out the remain in peace. In other words, I invite you to take to heart the Pope's challenge to dream. Let us not allow this pandemic to paralyze us. The Holy Father says, we need a movement of people who know we need each other, who have a sense of responsibility to others and to the world. We need to proclaim that being kind, having faith, and working for the common good are great life goals that need courage and vigor. My dear graduates, it is exciting to be young in this troubled world, as you try to see all things new in Christ and find God in everything. We, your older companions, wish you the best, but we also want to listen to you and learn from you. And we, infected by your energy and enthusiasm, your boldness and patience. Finally, I, all my brother Jesuits all over the world, and all partners in mission welcome you if you choose to join this family of sons and daughters of Ignacio of Loyola, to work together to build the world anew. May the Lord bless each of you, and may the Lord be your strength.
Mga magulang at mga kaibigan, ang punong guro ng nakatatandang mataas na paaralang Ateneo de Manila, si Ginang Maria Victoria Panlilio de Malanta.
Mga nagsipagtapos, hinihiling ko sa inyo ngayon na ilabas ninyo ang inyong mga rosaryo at isabay sa pagtaas ng inyong mga kamay sa inyong pag-awit ng awit ng pagtatapos. Maging sagisag nawa ito ng ating panalangin para sa tunay na kapayapaan na higit na kinakailangan ngayon ng ating bayan. Mga kaibigan, sa pagwawakas nitong palatuntunan ng pagtatapos, sa ika-162 taon ng Ateneo de Manila, aawitin po ngayon ng klaseng nagtapos taong 2021 ang awit ng pagtatapos.
Hinihiling sa mga nagsipagtapos at mga nanonood na panoorin ang kanilang batch song at isang bidyong handog ng komunidad ng Ateneo Senior High School. Marami pong salamat sa inyong pakikiisa sa amin sa araw na ito.
Malayo na ang ating narating mula sa ating pinagsimulan. Pasasalamat sa lahat ng taong tumulong sa mga aral na natutunan pagkalipas ng taon. Pagkat lulubog din ang araw at matatapos ang masayang pagsasama. Ngunit may bukas na tayo muling magkikita. Nakatutuwang isipin na lagpasan natin ang mga panahon na di alam ang gagawin. Pagkat lulubog din ang araw at matatapos ang masayang pagsasama. Ngunit may bukas na tayo muling magkikita. Wow, kahit na hanggan ay walang kasiguraduhan, kahit marami pang kailangang pagdaanan, ituloy natin ang kanya-kanyang paglalakbay. Alalahanin natin mga araw na pinagsamahan. Ang aral ay laging nandyan. Ang aral ay laging nandyan. Laging nandito sa ating puso. Kahit nahiwa-hiwalay ang ating paglalakbay, ang alaala na nabuhay magkikita.
Sa loob ng 2 taong pamamalagi,
sa paaralang nagsilbi at tahanang itinatangi.
Hinubog na maging malaya ang puso at isipan.
Huli ang sarili, magsilbi sa kapwa at bayan.
Inakay ka ng paaralang mapagkandili.
Kinupkop at nilikhang tunay na mapaghing.
Sa bawat sitwasyon, panahon at pagkakataon.
Ika'y sa unos ng buhay, lalaban at kayang umahon.
Kasama ang iyong kamag-aral, guro't kaibigan.
Lumikha kayo ng mga gunitang ililipas kailanman.
Puhunan ng iyong buhay at magandang kinabukasan.
Mananahan sa bawat puso't isipan ng sinuman.
magkasama kayong nag-aral, nagsikap at nangarap.
Sa tuwa, sa saya, sa lungkot at mga paghihirap.
Sabay kayong naglakbay upang tunguhin ang hinaharap.
Makamit lamang ang pangarap at tagumpay malasap.
Unang taon sa paaralan, sama-sama akbay-akbay.
Magkakasamang umaawit sa paglalakbay.
Sa iisang awit, sa iisang kulay at pagkaway.
Tanda ng pagiging ganap at atenistang tunay.
Hinawi man tayo ng krisis at laksa-laksang unos.
Di patitinag, di pagagapi, lakas hindi mauubos.
Pagkaalay, pagbabahagi, pagsisilbi, sa kapwa ibubuhos.
Aral ng paaralang natatangi, sinisintang lubos.
Ngayon, hindi pagwawakas ang ating pagtatapos.
Ikalawang taon may puno ng hamon sa pangunaway lipos.
Virtual man ang ating daigdig, laging mag-iiwan ng bakas. Mananatiling mabuting asin sa daigdig at sa magandang bukas.